Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We will call to order the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners, and we'll first be read in prayer by Commissioner Brad Turner, and our pledge to the flag by Commissioner Doug Schaefer tonight.
Let's pray. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we again come to you humbly, Lord, and just thank you for everything that you bless us with, Lord, and a wonderful country that we live in that full of freedom, Lord, and we ask that you help each one of us not to ever take that for granted, Lord, and the responsibilities that have been bestowed upon us by our citizens, Lord. Ask that tonight's decisions, Lord, that we make them with a clear mind, Lord, and that we stay as level-headed as we can on decisions and things that are important to this county. Ask that on a personal note, Lord, you be with Commissioner Sandlin's son Wesley in the morning with some tests that are being run at Vanderbilt Children's Hospital. Lord, just guide the doctors and the decisions that they need to make. And with Mr. Cope, Lord, and his family tonight with the loss of his mother, Lord, ask that you just put each of these families, Lord, just close to you and wrap your arms around them, Lord, and provide a strength and peace that only can be delivered by you, Jesus. I ask this in your name. Amen.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Schaefer. Here. Commissioner Black. Here. Commissioner Jordan. Here. Commissioner P. Here. Commissioner Cook. Here. Commissioner Jernigan. Here. Commissioner Farley.
Here.
Commissioner Phillips. Here. Commissioner Sandlin. Here. Commissioner Turner. Here. Commissioner Allen. Here. Commissioner Stevens.
Here.
Commissioner Jordan. Commissioner Baum. Here. Commissioner Coggin. Commissioner Young. Here. Commissioner Phillips. Present. Commissioner McAdoo. Here. Commissioner Ely. Here. Commissioner Gooch. Here. Commissioner Sereno. 21 present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. You have before you, I believe, a copy of the minutes of the last meeting. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve as written.
I have a motion to a second from Commissioner Jernigan. Did anyone have any corrections or additions? All right, there being none, all of you in favor of that, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That carried. Now we have two resolutions of sympathy, and our first resolution on behalf of Mr. Ed Jordan Jr. will be read by Mr. Jeff Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Buddy, if you'd like to escort your mother up, if she wants to come up, and other family members if they're here, and Commissioner Jordan. All of us in this room have grieved with the Jordan family in the past few weeks, and I'd like to request that everyone in this room join me in a celebration of a life that was spent in giving and contributing. Indeed, I think a life very well spent. Whereas it was with great sadness that the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners learned of the death of Edward Leland Jordan Jr., a friend of many. And whereas Mr. Jordan is survived by his wife of 54 years, Mary Jane Beatty Jordan, sons, Edward Leland Buddy Jordan III and his wife Amber, and William P. Will Jordan and his wife Mary Ann, and 4 grandchildren, Matthew, Taylor, Jenny, and Zachary. And whereas Mr. Jordan served in the United States Navy during the Korean War, and whereas he was a lifelong member of the First Presbyterian Church, attended Buchanan School, Homer Pittard Campus School, Central High School, and was a 1959 graduate of Middle Tennessee State University. And whereas Mr. Jordan was a member of the Rutherford County School Board for 22 years and was a former chairman, he owned and operated the Cow Palace Dairy along with his sons and grandsons for 47 years before his retirement in 2002. He served on the board of directors for the Federal Land Bank, was a member and past president of the Rutherford County Farm Bureau. He was a member of the Rutherford County Public Building Authority, chairman of Farm Services Agency Board, and was a member of Dairyman Incorporated. Mr. Jordan was a founding member of the Walter Hill Country Club, a member of the Rutherford County Sportsman's Club, and a member of the Hooper Supply Coffee Club. And whereas we know that his passing has caused great sadness to his family and friends, now therefore be it resolved that the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners, at its regular session on the 16th day of August 2012, does hereby extend sincere sympathies to the family of Mr. Edward Leland Jordan, Jr., and be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution of sympathy be forwarded to the family of Mr. Jordan by the clerk of this legislative body. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Seconded by Commissioner Black and many others. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Ms. Jordan? Yes, ma'am.
Thank the family for sharing with us for all these many years, Mr. Jordan. And I have known his wife a lot longer than I knew him. And a lot of great things came from Blackman community, and Ms. Jane Beatty is one of them. And the second one might be me. So anyway, thank you very much. Okay, next we have Commissioner Phillips Tiffany. We'll have a resolution of sympathy on behalf of a great man, Mr. Dan Mitchell.
Barbara, David, would you like to come forward? While they're coming forward, I have a few comments I would like to make. Mr. Dan was a longtime family friend of ours, and my favorite memory of him was when I was probably in early middle school years, and I was home alone in the summer and scared to death because I heard somebody in the house. And Mr. Dan came up while I hid in the closet and searched our house and made sure nobody was there to hurt me. And I come out of that closet and I see him standing there in his overalls and his shotgun, and I was never scared after that, so because I knew he was right down the road to protect me. But later I was able to serve on the Midland Fosterville Fire Department Board with Mr. Dan, and that was a great honor to be able to serve with him, and he'll truly be missed. Whereas it was with great sadness that the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners learned of the death of Dan D. Mitchell, a friend of many, and whereas Mr. Mitchell is survived by his wife of 55 years, Barbara Taylor Mitchell, 2 sons, David Mitchell and his wife Gina, Joe Mitchell and his wife Hope, 2 grandchildren, Matt David Mitchell and his wife Lauren, and Macy Jeanette Mitchell, and whereas Mr. Mitchell was a member and former elder of Crescent Church of Christ, was born and raised on the family farm and farmed it for his entire life, was a member of the Farm Bureau of Rutherford County, served on the board of directors of Rutherford County Farmers Co-op, and was a former member of the Rutherford County Conservation Board. And whereas we know that his passing has caused great sadness to his family and friends, now therefore be it resolved that the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners at its regular session on the 16th day of August 2012 does hereby extend sincere sympathy to the family of Mr. Dan D. Mitchell, and be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution of sympathy be forwarded to the family of Mr. Mitchell by the clerk of this legislative body. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Second, Commissioner Farley and several others. All in favor, please say aye. 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 Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, these 2 men that we are honoring tonight have left a legacy of example that it would do us all well to emulate. They've been remarkable citizens, and we appreciate all they've done for our county and our country. Thank you very much. Let's see, Mr. Farley, I believe next is a resolution of recognition and appreciation on behalf of the Rutherford County Correctional Works Center. And if there are those present that wish to come speak and stand and receive this recognition, come forward.
While they're coming, this accreditation is something to be very proud of. A lot of work centers and jails and stuff across the United States there's not very many of them across the United States, and is it the only work center?
Yes, in the state.
The only work center in the state of Tennessee to be accredited, and that's an accomplishment to be proud of. Whereas the Rutherford County Correctional Work Center, the CWC, administration, and staff have committed themselves to achieve and maintain the highest honor in the correctional field by obtaining accreditation on July the 23rd, 2012, from the American Correctional Association, and by adhering to their mission, and whereas the mission of the American Correctional Association is to provide a professional organization for all individuals and groups, both public and private, that share a common goal of improving the justice system. And whereas the Rutherford County Correctional Work Center is the only workhouse in Tennessee to be accredited, and there are only 3 county-run jails in Tennessee to be accredited: Davidson, Knox, and Shelby. And whereas as members of the prestigious association, the Rutherford County Correctional Work Center administration and staff are progressively partnered and enabled to uphold the integrity of the standards, excellence in professional development, educational and leadership diversity, and humane correctional policies and practices set forth by the association, and whereas they will continue to lead and serve as the voice of corrections to promote sound public policy and enhance positive public perception in the international justice community, including the support and adherence to all policies, position statements, standards, and resolutions of American Correctional Association. And whereas we wish to extend our utmost appreciation to the Rutherford County Correctional Work Center administration and staff, and also the board, for their hard work and dedication that was endured in order to obtain such a commendable certification. Now therefore be it resolved that the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners, at its regular session on the 16th day of August 2012, does hereby recognize and appreciate the service of the administration and staff of the Rutherford County Correctional Work Center and wishes them well in their future endeavors. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution of appreciation be forwarded to the Rutherford County Correctional Work Center by the clerk of this legislative body, and I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Second by Commissioner Sandel and others. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations on a job well done.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the Correctional Work Center, I want to really extend, first of all, my deepest gratitude to a staff that was dedicated in getting this mission done. It was something we wanted to do to accomplish, to put us on a level that people know that the Correctional Work Center is on a highest professional level that's observed in the United States and around the country. The accreditation process, without the captain, Captain Cope, Sergeant Collins, her hard work, and the other staff members that you see present here today, was relentless. And without any more words I can come up with, I really want to extend my gratitude to them right here today. So thank you. I also want to extend gratitude towards the Tennessee Correction Institute for their help. Davidson County Sheriff's Department was a great assistance to us. And we look forward to, going even further with this being one of the best correction facilities in the state to represent Rutherford counties. Thank you.
Okay, next it's time for our public comments, and we have 2 people that have requested to speak tonight. And I'll ask each person to come forward and give us their name and address, and remind them that 3 minutes, we would ask that they hold their comments to that time. First is Ms. Elizabeth Coker.
Mayor Burgess, good afternoon. Commissioners, good evening. I'm going to be having someone assist me tonight in passing out some material to you. This material will include a handout as well as a video and a copy of today's headlines from the newspaper, which is relevant as well. First of all, I just want to congratulate you on being sued by your own citizens and now by the federal government. We have the unique position right now to have this from both sides. The second page of the material that you're going to receive is a kind of a summary of where we are right now. I'm not going to be able to say everything in 3 minutes, but if you will be so kind to take a look at this material afterwards, there is some new developments. The first page is about the Muslim Brotherhood's plan that was exposed in 1993. Read all about that. Google that if you can. The Holy Land Foundation trial is very well known. You can get a lot of information there about what the FBI has already known about their subversive activities here in the United States, and it does apply to Rutherford County. The second page talks about the lawsuit. I won't go over that, but you can read that for yourself. And then it goes on into the radicals that we have found amongst the moderates at the Islamic Center of Murfreesboro. So far, we started out with one, Massad Rawash. I came to the safety committee, and Mr. Farley did not report to you, so I decided to go ahead and bring some of that information to you directly. I monitored his social network page, MySpace, for about 2 weeks, and did not know at that time, but he was participating in the Arab Spring from right here in Murfreesboro. Please take a look at that information. The additional controversy happened when there was a burial over on the property on Vios Road, and I go into that a little bit, but before I go into that, I want to mention the RLUIPA, Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act of 2000. I give you a little background on that in case you haven't been able to look that up yourself. What does RLUIPA say? Well, it only protects religious exercise. It does not protect illegal activity, such as political activities that are subversive to our government and detrimental to our communities, including colonization movements, better known as civilization or stealth jihad. I have a video I want you to take a look at. This video has 3 different things on it. One is the rally, the pro-Palestinian rally that was held here on our courthouse steps on January the 9th, 2009. I will speed right along and let you see the headlines today as another illegal activity of another mosque member. The daughter, 21-year-old daughter of their spokesman, Dr. Salah Sibanati's daughter, Alima. Going right along, we have one more thing I want to leave you with, which is that it is not illegal to ask questions of applicants seeking to build an extraordinarily large building in our community when concern arises as to their political nature and involvement in controversial international debate and possible collusion with enemies of our country and possible material support for terrorism. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoy the material I brought to you. Thank you very much, Mayor and Commissioners.
Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Donald Todd.
My name is Donald Todd, and I live at 633 Buck Lane. Update on unspent surplus revenue. In the trustee's office, after learning that our unspent surplus revenue is not usually being recycled to the next fiscal year's budget and is not permitted to remain in the same fund in the next fiscal year's budget, our curiosity logically motivates us to ask where the money is placed. The records in the trustee's office reveal the mystery. We have learned that this money is put in 3 places in the county: deposits into savings accounts and investments in certificates of deposit. For example, on April 5th, 2012, we have learned that number 1, millions of dollars have been deposited in a money market account. Number 2, millions have been deposited in LGIP number 1 savings account, and number 3, millions have been used to purchase CDs. Upon further examination of investments on this date, we understand clearly that banks and a state LGIP pool hold this money in reserve, and apparently through fractional banking policies, the banks make loans to customers and profit greatly from using this unspent surplus revenue from property tax dollars. Obviously, this is money that constitutionally should be refunded to the taxpayers of Rutherford County. The banks are following this financially lucrative policy of making loans with the local government's money, or we should say taxpayers' money, which is money that should be used to pay for normal operations of government instead of promoting an investment business for banks from which the county sees no profit. It is easy to see why the banks would not want the county to recycle this money to the same fund in next year's budget. It is obvious that the taxpayers inevitably will suffer financially from this mishandling of their money. Why is that? Because when surplus revenue is not recycled to the next fiscal year's budget, a shortfall in one or two funds in next year's budget would force the county to require a tax increase, which would burden the taxpayers with added debt and would cause overspending by the government. This often culminates in borrowing from the bond market, which results in increasing the total debt of the county. If we continue to follow these metro-type financial policies, our county and cities will be so bankrupt that we will become financially dependent on the federal government. The final result of this financial catastrophe will be socialism. After talking with a city councilman as well as an official in the city recorder's office in the city of Murfreesboro, it appears that, like Rutherford County, the city follows very similar policies for handling surplus revenue or fund balances. A city official told me that the cash portion of taxpayer dollars from fund balances or from unspent surplus revenue balances is being placed in all of the city's 45 bank balance listings. In other words, the city government's fund balances or surplus revenues are generally not being recycled to next year's budget, but are being used as investments benefiting only the banks rather than the taxpayers. Thank you.
Mr. Todd. Okay, that brings us to almost 6:30, and therefore we'll go ahead and start the public hearing since we are supposed to do those at 6:30. And the first public hearing is to amend the conditional use permit request 12-A006 on behalf of Mr. Shane Fogel that is located at 6155 Highway 99. The existing zoning is services, and the requested amendment is to remove the turn lane requirement on a site that's approximately 6.85 acres. So, Mr. Demosi.
Yes, Mayor Burgess, thank you, and good evening, Mayor and members of the Commission. This property is located along Highway 99. A portion of this property was rezoned back in 2003 to agricultural services to allow for a landscaping business and nursery. In 2009, the property was rezoned in its entirety to services with a conditional use permit for what's called a planned commercial development. During the review process, there was a lot of discussion about the types of uses, potential drainage issues, access, and traffic issues as well. The Planning Commission approved the site plan for the Dollar General on September 28, 2009. Before permits were issued for the project, a bond was posted by the applicant for all the road work, including turn lanes, in the amount of $75,000. Now, that is a bond to the state, and that is not a bond that we are holding. At the time, the improvements to the improvements to Highway 99 were in the development stages, and TDOT did not want the applicant to install the turn lane just for it to be torn out when they came through with the widening project. Since that time, the plans for Highway 99 have changed somewhat, and it doesn't look like that portion of Highway 99 will be widened. So at this point, the bond is in place and has been for some time now. The applicant approached us about the possibility of us releasing our condition of him having the bond. Of course, we told him that was a condition of the approval, therefore he would have to go back through the process to do that. In your agenda materials, you'll see that he has submitted some documentation from his design engineer that's helping him with this project, as well as a letter from Mr. Phil Trammell from the Tennessee Department of Transportation, or TDOT. Essentially, what the letter states is that TDOT would not require a turn lane for this particular project at this time. So the only reason that they're holding the bond right now is because of the county requirement. So with that, I know that there's been some handouts given to you that I'll let the design engineer handle for that. I will say that we did approach the Sheriff's Department to find out about some crash data in the area. Now, the data that was provided to me, I just got this afternoon after lunch, And it goes back to about 2008, and I've gone through it to the extent that I could, and the software that they use is limited as far as how specific the accidents in the area can be. But it looks like since 2008 in the area, based on just what I've looked at, it looks like there was a total of 30 incidents, not necessarily all, I mean, just in this general area. Again, it's difficult to say looking at this where exactly they all took place, but whenever I saw an incident location that said something in the address range of the address of the Dollar General, I counted it. Of course, 2008, the Dollar General wasn't actually in operation for a couple more years. So, but of those 30, 6 mentioned the incident location of being near the Dollar General or around the Dollar General, something to that effect. So I just wanted to have that information presented to you. I can get more specific by year if you'd like, but I just wanted to give you a quick overview of that. With that, the Planning Commission did have quite a bit of discussion about this. You see that the recommendation was to approve the removal of the condition by a vote of 6-3. You'll also notice in the staff recommendation, again, staff did recommend approval of this to the Planning Commission. However, one of the conditions that we put on there was that if that condition is removed, that when Lot 2 is developed, currently you have the Dollar General lots developed, and plus the landscaping nursery area in the back is already in operation. But when Lot 2 is developed, the whole site would be reanalyzed to see if turn lanes were warranted at the site plan review phase. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions, Ms. Phillips?
Mr. Demasi, today on dnj.com, there was an article. I don't know if you was able to look at that or not.
I did see it, yes, ma'am.
There's a statement in here that says, and to properly quote this, the article was titled, Rutherford County to Hear Push for Turn Lane at Dollar General. I'm not sure if this was in print or not, but it was on dnj.com. It says, a Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security report of 27 wrecks at the intersection in question since 2003, including a fatality. 4 wrecks have occurred since the Dollar General opened, including 3 with personal injuries. Now, end quote. This says that it says at the intersection, 27 wrecks at the intersection since 2003. Was the Dollar General store there in 2003?
No, ma'am, it was not.
I didn't think so. And then there's a neighborhood. Was the neighborhood there? The
plats to the neighborhood actually go back to the 90s, so I don't know how many houses exactly were out there, but the subdivision is not a recent one. It's been there for quite a while.
Okay, because I'm getting conflicting reports. This one said 27 with 3 personal injuries. I talked to somebody this afternoon that had a different number. Talked to Mr. Murphy the other day, and we also have I know SCC, Mr. Reed is going to talk about this a little bit more, but he's saying that 2 right at that intersection. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that? I know you've already spoke on the crashes, but I think it's imperative that we get the right information here.
Yes, ma'am. I'll do my best. Without knowing exactly the kind of the information that was quoted in the newspaper, it's difficult for me to say exactly where that came from or how it was being analyzed. What I was looking at, what I asked for from the sheriff's office was that they provide some sort of report, if they could, regarding the number of accidents that happen along Highway 99 in this area. Now, due to the limitations of the software that the sheriff's office uses, really what they were able to provide me were all of the wrecks along Highway 99, and they really can't limit it to a specific area. So I'm getting, this data in here includes, quite frankly, a majority of them are located in the city limits of Murfreesboro. So what I tried to do by looking at the report that I was given, again, from 2008 to the present, was look for the proper zone. They have patrol zones, and the gentleman I spoke with helped me with that. And in the incident location, I tried to look at anything that had either an address range that was in that area, or maybe it listed one of the schools, possibly the middle or the elementary school, or maybe even mentioned the Dollar General by name. So again, I was not able to, quite frankly, most of the incidents that were reported, a majority of them had to do with one of the 2 schools. There were others out there. There were a couple, it seems like I did see for the subdivision, but I didn't see that many, that number quoted as being at that intersection. Now, again, I just got this afternoon, so I haven't just had just a lot of time to go over it. But from the best that I've been able to tell, the Dollar General was only actually listed as an incident location about 6 times. And most of those, not all, but most of those were just property, not injured. There were a couple injury crashes, but most of them were property damage, fender bender, something like that.
Other questions of Mr. DeMosi? Yes, Ms. Phillips.
More. Now, Monday night, the Planning Commission sent forward the new zoning regulations for us to have a public hearing next month. Could you elaborate on how the new zoning regulations might affect an application like this? Because it's my understanding that in the past we have used traffic counts to decide if hopefully in the past, not all the time in the past, we've tried to use traffic counts. But the new zoning regulations, how will that affect new developments from then on?
Yes, ma'am. I'd be happy to. In the past, what staff has recommended doing, especially along state highways, is using whatever TDOT recommends. If a certain development warrants a turn lane being installed, we recommend that they go with whatever TDOT says. Again, it's TDOT's road. They are accommodating to localities, but at the same time, it makes sense to use the same standards that they're using. In regards to what we plan on doing in the future, there is a section in the new zoning ordinance that you'll be hearing plenty about here in the not-too-distant future that actually deals specifically with traffic studies for new development. Now, there are certain thresholds that have to be crossed, one of them being the number of peak trips per hour. I think it's 100, just not having it right in front of me, but I believe that's the number that we use. And anything that crosses that threshold has to submit a traffic study along with their development. And that could be a zoning application, that could be a site plan, anything like that would potentially increase traffic in the area. And then the recommendations would be spelled out in the traffic study. And of course, those would be the responsibility of the developer at that point.
So if it's passed, we'll have a standard that we will use every time that a development comes in, and that will be a traffic study.
Yes, ma'am.
As long as it passes the count.
Yes, ma'am. That's the goal. And then in addition to that, we'll be looking at something similar in the subdivision regulations as well, which we're still in the process of working on.
Thank you.
Other questions of Mr. DeMosi before the public hearing? Oh, we're not ready for the public hearing quite yet, but we're almost. Anyone else? All right, thank you, Mr. DeMosi. Now, we will then declare the public hearing open, and those that wish to speak may come and speak. Give us your name and address, and come forward, please. You can go, and then this gentleman can go next.
Sorry to jump out of line here, but I represent the applicant. I'm Mr. Brick Murphy from the law firm of Murphy & Murphy. I represent Shane Fogel. A number of years ago, Mr. Fogel was before y'all requesting that this property be rezoned for commercial use. Essentially, it's a small commercial subdivision, meaning it's 3 tracks, 2 tracks on 99, one of which is currently a Dollar General, the other of which is undeveloped currently, and then he's got his existing landscaping business behind those 2 lots at front 99. At the time that we were before y'all for that rezoning, there was a request that a turn lane be built. We didn't feel like the nature of the development would ever warrant a turn lane. It's not a high-impact kind of use. Dollar Generals don't generate a lot of traffic. It's not the avenues. This is a low-traffic kind of use. That being said, the requirement was placed in the zoning, and we and Mr. Fogel had to bond that to the state at a considerable cost to him. He's had to pay this bond every year to the state, and it's a requirement were he to build on this last lot for that turn lane to be built. And turn lanes, as y'all know, are very expensive, $70,000 to $100,000. Basically makes that lot undevelopable from his standpoint. And at this point, the Dollar General has been constructed. His existing landscape business is there as well. He employed Mr. Jamie Reed with SEC to study the traffic trips to try to determine how many people are coming and going. And Mr. Reed has conducted a traffic study. The state has also looked at that area there where Clear Ridge and 99 hit and where the Dollar General interfaces. The state has determined that a turn lane is not warranted. And the only thing that's that is requiring that a turn lane be built is part of the zoning application. So the state doesn't want the turn lane built. My client, for economic reasons, would like to have it removed, and also my client doesn't believe that from a safety standpoint that it's really necessary. Now, there has been some information that's been provided to the paper. We don't believe that that's accurate information. As y'all know, 99 is a big road with a lot of traffic. There's a school, and if you were to plot data on that road over a long period of time and a big distance, you might get lots of different information. But what we've done, and what Mr. Reed is going to speak about in just a minute, is we've honed that information down to specifically the site that we're talking about, not 5 miles down the road, not 4 years before the Dollar General was built, but actually after things were constructed, and actually where people are coming in and out of this Dollar General and in and out of Mr. Fogel's business there. We would like to have the turn lane requirement removed. As Mr. Demosi said, at site plan, if it looks like this last piece of property that's undeveloped is going to generate the trips to this site that would warrant a turn lane, then he'll have to build it. If it's a convenience store that's going to have a lot of trips, then the county engineering and staff and the county planning department can require it, and Mr. Fogel will have to construct it. But at this point, it's one, we don't believe warranted due to the safety out there. It's not a dangerous intersection, and two, it's a huge economic burden on my client who's trying to build a business out in the county, and also trying to get this last lot he's got sold. And this is kind of an albatross over him, and if he could have that requirement removed, it certainly would make it more marketable, and he'd have more of an opportunity to bring business out that way. Mr. Fogel is present tonight. I'm going to let Mr. Jamie Reed speak a little bit about the traffic. He's an engineer, I'm not, and we'll be here to answer any questions you may have at the end of the presentation. I appreciate your time and attention, and we just ask for your consideration to remove this turn lane requirement. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. This gentleman had risen before.
My name is Brian Klein. I live in the very first lot off of 99. I'm the guy that sold Shane, according to him, the albatross that he can't use. But
What is your street address of your residence, please? So we can. I understand, but what's it?
my address?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, sure. 117 Clear Ridge Drive, Rockville, Tennessee.
Our clerk just needs that for the record. Thank you.
That's good. My question is, will he still be responsible for putting in the turn lanes after he develops that land? My next question is, I don't know how many accident reports you received for that exact spot, but there are 3 crosses there over the last few years. Last month, there was a life flight out of there. And thanks to Mr. Farley, we got a light set up there now. That took about 6 months, didn't it? But anyhow, what I'm getting at is, I want to know who's going to be responsible for expanding this road, because every time I come down there and make my left turn on Clear Ridge Drive, I almost have to look at my rearview mirror more than I'm looking ahead to see who's going to run over me. And Mr. Fogel can tell you he no longer has a mailbox sitting beside that road. It got wiped out. What happens is people come up there, they dive off to the right, they go around, bang, his mailbox was destroyed and somebody's car got destroyed. But that life flight is what bothers me. That was just about a month and a half ago. I woke up in the middle of the night hearing a helicopter just bangity, bangity, bang. So what I'm getting at is, I still think we need a turn lane. And whether it's built next week or a year from now when they expand the road, I really would like to make sure I have some guarantees about that, because people are going to get killed there, and there's already been 3. And I don't know how your records show that. But their crosses are there. They didn't put them up because nobody got hurt. One guy, I'm trying to think of his last name. They go to our church out there. But anyhow, he got drunk one night and came home and swerved off the road and hit that telephone pole and sheared it right off. Killed him. But you guys make up your own mind, but I don't know how many more people have to die or how many more mailboxes have to get wiped out or how many more people get run over. That's all I got to say.
All right, thank you. Who would like to speak next? Give us your name and address, please.
Good evening, everybody. Commissioners, Mayor Burgess. I'd like to reiterate on some stuff Tiffany was talking about earlier. I also have a memo kind of sitting out front. It should be on each of y'all's desk.
Jamie, would you give us your address so we can, for the record, please?
My address or yours? Well, I don't, my work address, 850 Middle Tennessee Boulevard, SEC. I'm with SEC.
And we just have to put it in the record.
I'm sorry. Tiffany alluded to earlier, she was exactly right. The Dollar General was built and opened July the 29th, 2010. And the research that I did, like Doug was alluding to earlier, goes all the way. It crashes and stuff, reports all up and down Highway 99. But what I did, I got with the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security, the research specialist, Ian Morris, which he recommends studying 1/10 of a mile each side of that intersection, which is indicative to the intersection you're studying. Based on his recommendations and his traffic data reports, I reviewed the dates, type of crash, and the agency who responded to the crash. And after we honed down to that intersection, the reports that the state has, the Department of Safety and Homeland Security, they've got 2 wrecks that have happened since the store has been built. And these are on-file case numbers. It's not a wreck that's just floating out there. These are case numbers documented to exact location. The first case number on here that you're looking at was actually at the Dollar General. A car turning left into Dollar General was T-boned by a car going northbound, which a turn lane would not help you with that situation. The second wreck that was documented, that's actually documented, was by the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office. There was a wreck, ironically, with a left turn lane in front of this Rutherford County school. The car got rear-ended there. So there's 2 documented cases. On that second sheet, you can see where it come from. The case numbers, who responded to the wreck. One was Tennessee Highway Patrol, and the other one's the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office. Now, I don't know anything about the one crash the man just before me was talking about. That's the Department of Defense and Homeland Security in Nashville does not have that documented, so I can't speak of that wreck. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I just don't know anything about it. Neither does the Department of Defense. But neither of those wrecks were due to not having a left turn lane. Okay, and based on the above facts, the TDOT's letter that Doug alluded to earlier, Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security's recommendations, and the Rutherford County staff's recommendations, a turn lane is not warranted. We ask that you remove the turn lane requirement placed by Rutherford County on Shane Fogel. And I'd like to thank you for letting me speak. Did that answer some of your questions, Tiffany, as far as who what required? Is there any other questions? I wanted to be blunt. I know that Doug got a bunch of stuff this afternoon, and I've seen that same report, and I think somebody else's, the paper's got some, 30 wrecks floating out there. But that's, I got that same statistical data from Homeland Security. That was based from 2003 to 2012, and it was a half of mile study. It was a quarter mile each direction, which is not indicative of that intersection. So you can't say there was 30 crashes. And when they report on the Sheriff's Department, report stuff like that, they say it's near the Dollar General or something like it. It's not in that vicinity at that intersection. It could have been down there near the school or before that. But these are the exact, within 1/10 of a mile of that intersection, documented cases. I just wanted y'all to know the facts. Any questions?
Thank you. Excuse me, Mr. Reed, did you want to ask him a question, Mr.?
I figure he can answer.
Yes, sir.
It's just clarification in what I heard. I think it was Mr. Murphy said that there is that there is a light now at the Clear Ridge intersection. Did I hear that correctly?
I think they placed that on the pole out front, if I'm not mistaken, correction.
Is it a stoplight? Is it blinking red, blinking yellow, or?
It's a illuminated light for where they can see. It's not a signal light.
All right, thank you. Mr. Reed, do you want to ask him a question?
Who owns this property?
Who owns the Dollar General?
Well, the property we're talking about to put a turn
the
lane.
corner piece is Shane Fogel.
That one,
And the one in the back is, yes, sir, Shane Fogel. He's the one that's got the bond amount on the turn lane.
front of
Yeah,
the
and he doesn't even own the Dollar.
Dollar General, which he does not own. All right, thank you.
Alan?
Jamie, I'm looking over the paperwork that was initially given to us. I think maybe Doug provided it, and it's from the meetings from 2009. And under the section where we talk about traffic, it looks like this property was initially proposed for a convenience store and possible gas pumps.
Yes, ma'am, on the corner. Yes, ma'am.
And so that was part of the discussion requiring the turn lane because of the trip
Correct.
generation
Yes,
that was
ma'am.
going to create.
At that time, yes, ma'am.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Reed. Let's see, this gentleman behind me is Coker, I think was maybe next. And y'all can choose who wants to go first.
And I'm sorry, I failed to give you my address earlier. For the record, my name is Elizabeth Coker. I live at 9610 Versailles Road, and I've lived there for 18 years. I could maybe clear up a bit about the accidents that have happened out there because before Mr. Vogel moved, there was a house before there in front where the Dollar General was or is today. And there was an accident that was a two-person accident, a young man and the passenger was the one that was killed. The young man was paraplegic after that, but that all happened before the convenience store was placed in the current location that it's at. I know Mr. Vogel, and don't have a problem with him at all. I know he's got a good business. However, I would like to ask a question. Mr. Vogel's business is a landscaping operation. And I do notice, and I've had him cut my yard. Have no problem with this service. But I want to know if he has used or is using E-Verify in verifying his employees. I believe you have 22 to 25 Hispanics that work for you. And before the commission approves or takes off any conditions, I would like to make sure that you show proof that your employees are legal and have their documentation. Thank you.
All right, who would like to speak next?
Mayor Burgess, Council. My name is John Gessler. I live at 155 Dalton Circle, back behind there. We use that intersection often. To maybe build a case like Brick did earlier, there was an intersection on 99 and the new Parkway. When that was opened up, it was a 4-lane on a 2-lane. There was a couple stop signs put up there. Now, not in the county and not in this particular location. There was wreck almost daily, if not weekly, there. And it took forever to get anything done there. Now move out to where they say isn't a very busy location. There's another school they had to build, the county built, because it's not a busy area. The state or the county or whoever it was put in the 2 turn lanes for both of the schools because it wasn't a busy area. Those cars aren't heliported in to that non-busy area for the schools to use those turn lanes. So I don't understand how it goes from a non-busy area to a busy area within a fourth or a quarter or half a mile. Maybe all the traffic comes from maybe Eagleville, goes to those schools and goes back to Eagleville. Maybe all the traffic comes from Murfreesboro, goes to the Parkway and then goes back to Murfreesboro. So I don't know if that's just a black hole there or what, but maybe it is. So with these turn lanes being built, the traffic lights being put in at the Parkway and 99, and the turn lanes being put in at the schools in 99, I don't see why there's a difference in traffic flow at the intersection between Dollar General and Clear Ridge. Why we wouldn't have the same opportunity to have a right and a left-hand turn lane. Thank you.
I ask this gentleman a question.
The way I understand it is it has to do with the number of trips into that location, like the school or the business, is the way I understand how they come up with the turn lane issue, where the schools it was deemed that the number of trips into that location is how it got deemed a turn lane, the way I understand it. I just wanted to answer your question or whatever.
And I understand that, and I don't disagree with that, but my point is there's people turning right and left in and out of those businesses. And it's not that it's a twiddly business or underwater basket weaving company that no one uses. There's traffic there all the time. There's a Subway that opens early, there's a dance club, there's a liquor store, and there's Dollar General. It's not like there's a little business out back selling cigars out of a box in a no smoking zone. This is a heavily trafficked road with multiple businesses all at different times. So to have someone minimize the traffic flow in that area is degrading.
All right, thank you. Who would like to speak? Please come forward.
My name's Ronald Williams. I live at 11090 Versailles Road in Rockville. And I took a day off from playing golf to deal with this, so it's pretty serious to me. I gave y'all, passed out a little packet of information that I put together from the county's records, so you can have a good, clear picture of what it is that we are talking about here. But first, one thing that I don't understand exactly, and of course, not being an attorney, according to our regulations in section 6.18, it says assurance of compliance. In the event that a permit, get this, we got, as Mr. Cope taught me some years ago, words and how they are arranged and what they say in these things are very significant. In the event a permit for a conditional use is approved, subject to conditions, the applicant shall, in writing, acknowledge such approval and unconditionally accept and agree to any condition imposed on this approval. Now, the regulations also say that one has the ability to come back and amend it, but there has to be a point at which you cannot come back and amend something. Can he put the turning lane in, pay for it, and then come back and get it amended and get the county to give him his money back? Well, of course, that's ridiculous, but that's no more ridiculous, it is to me, than when you agree to something and you write a contract out and you say, I'm going to do it. Now, back where I'm from out at Rockville, if you give your word, you're going to do it. But, you know, we've got pages and pages and pages of legal things that are going on that we're going through and rehashing now with this planning thing that's been worked over and trying to get all the verbiage right. But I don't understand why we're even here if at some point he can't do this. I mean, there's got to be a point. For example, you go to court. You don't like what your judge says. You can't wait 2.5 years to appeal it. You have a certain time frame or certain actions in this case that you do that mean you can't go forward to come back and get out of this. Now, you know, I won't belittle on that. Y'all discuss that after the fact, but there's got to be a time that you can't come back and get this. This says when you've gotten the building permit, and certainly after you've gotten your UNO. It's like a little kid going up and saying, if you act nice, I'm going to give you some candy. And as soon as he gets the candy, he said, I ain't got to act nice no more. I mean, you know, that's what these rules state, and that's why they're in there for a particular reason. I'm sure y'all going to get a legal explanation of that. I have here a petition from over 200-something people. Y'all care to pass this around and look at it? The adjoining neighbors have specifically signed this, requesting this not to be changed. They feel like, based on what they know of this property, that it should be that way. From a personal note, my family drives through this intersection every single day. Maybe some Saturdays we don't, but we're members of the church and we go right through this same intersection. Not only that, my uncle owned this property prior to Wendell Jones buying it, and there have been so many wrecks in this curve that's sitting out there. I have pictures. Sorry I couldn't afford more of these kind of expensive. These pictures of all of how the road turns right there. Now I'll take us back to a quick in the beginning of when this whole process got started. Back in March of 2009, SEC and Mr. Murphy and Mr. Fogel did a fine job. They mailed letters to all of the area residents that were out there, even the ones that were exceeding the 500 feet minimum. They had a meeting at Rockville Middle School. And out of that meeting, the biggest concern, if you'll look in the second page of what I've handed out, that's the county's memorandum, it says that the entrance to Clear Ridge Drive and the safety of the existing intersection of Clear Ridge Drive was the main concern of the people at that time, which gives me a moment to digress just a little bit about Clear Ridge subdivision. If I'm correct on Clear Ridge subdivision, I believe that Mr. Reed and his associates helped develop that with the people. And if you put in a subdivision under the warrants that exist today, and I asked the people at the state, but of course they won't give me a letter for that right now because we're in some controversy. If you put in a subdivision that exceeds a certain number, they were vague in that, but all the numbers were below what Clear Ridge is. But what Clear Ridge did at the time, to avoid putting in a turning lane, was they initially put in 40 houses, which is below that number. Now, Jamie and SEC, they're real smart people. They know what questions to ask to get the right answer that they're looking for. I don't blame anybody for that. I do the same thing. You do too. But they got the Clear Ridge subdivision in, one way in, one way out. If we ever have an emergency back in there or something happened, we're in trouble because you can't get emergency vehicles in or you can't get out. thus the helicopter life flighting these people just a month ago. Now, they put in 40 houses, then they came back and put in another 20, and now they've added another 10, 70. A 70-unit subdivision would mandate a turning lane from the warrants from TDOT. No questions asked. Now, the reason that Clear Ridge Road and the Dollar General were connected in what we studied on at the time was because the requirement in order for him and for Mr. Fogel to have this large of a number of businesses in this one section, he must have an entrance and exit on Clear Ridge. In the lease of all of the people and on the things that I've gone up and pulled, it requires all of the leasees, Dollar General, Subway, the beer and tobacco store, Mr. Fogel and everybody to use the entrance on Clear Ridge Drive to access Lot 3, Lot 2 that's being developed. Therefore, Clear Ridge Drive is a component of what needs to be looked at in this, not just the Dollar General. Now, in the letter from the state that they've passed around that you've got here a copy of, it specifically says Dollar General. And I like Mr. Cope's analogy of things that words mean a lot in these letters. I asked Mr. Paul Trammell for a copy of what preempted him to write this letter. And he informed me that I needed to go through their legal department to get something of that nature. But I didn't do that. But in his letter, it says from TDOT, from Mr. Paul Trammell, states that a Dollar General or the business of this size, the Dollar General would not, they do not estimate that the number of trips to to a Dollar General this size to meet the warrants for this for the state highway, which is true. No doubt, that's a true statement. But when you add Dollar General, the beer and tobacco store, the dance studio, which, by the way, only has curtails to people of about 12 years and younger, and they got these little kids coming and going out there all the time, and the Subway, which is one of my favorite stops out there now, although I can't seem to lose weight eating Subways, is plus Mr. Fogel's business, and then you add Clear Ridge Drive, 70 houses with all the trips on its own, which would by itself demand by TDOT a turning lane. If you were to put all 70 houses in at once, you can't get one in without getting a turning lane from TDOT, I've been told. Don't have a letter to that. They wouldn't send me one. But the Green Book and the studies that you can do, I'm pretty sure that Jamie can fill you in on that, since they put in 40 houses, 20 houses, and then 10 houses, so as not to meet that standard. Now, whether they did it intentionally or it was just a marketing thing, I don't have any idea. But when you put all those things together, it's why we have the number of wrecks. Now, I called TDOT, and I got, not TDOT, I called the Highway Patrol Office, and they forwarded me on, and I asked them what they would recommend. The individual that I talked to down there, he emailed me this back, took me all of 30 minutes to get this. I can't say his, a Jan Morris, from David UDOKO, ever how you say that. I'm too country to know how that is. He sent me this back, and his suggestion was to get a good understanding of what this section of road is to do 1,200, fourth of a mile, 1,200 and something feet and 1,200 and something feet. The whole section that goes through here is well in excess of that, but that's what he did, and that's where the total of 27 accidents, 4 since it's opened, came from, and there have been 3 deaths out there, that none since the DG opened. There have been 4 wrecks, 3 injury accidents, and 27 total wrecks since 2003, which will give you a good indication, plus talking to the neighbors, of how dangerous this road is out here. That's why they're widening it. Now, I got the same report that Mr. DeMasi got from the sheriff's office. Now, he's very right. It's very difficult to go through this thing and say, because their software doesn't do it as prompt as this. But I added all these up since 2008. 481 wrecks out this highway. So, as a gentleman was talking about earlier, these people are traveling all the way out there in numbers. Okay? In the paperwork there from us, Mr. Reed told y'all in 2009 that the traffic count out there was 6,560 cars per day per a TDOT study. In the paperwork that y'all have now, it says staff said that the traffic count was 7,300 and some change, but in 2011, the traffic study is 8,530. Now, whether you take the 2,000 per day increase or the 1,200 per day increase, you can see the significant change that's going on in this area out there because of the schools. So the reason that I'm up here is because of the safety issue. I had some people that had contacted me, but the biggest reason I'm up here is my wife has almost been hit there 2 times, and she said, as much stuff as I get involved in, I need to get involved in this. So I can take a day off from golf to do this. So that's the biggest reason that I came up here to get all this information from you. Now,
Mr. Williams, I thought you was finishing up, but I want to ask you a question about we did a fireworks tent, or allowed them to have one out there. There was a little road here on your pictures here that was supposed to be gone. I don't know when it looked like you probably took those pictures before.
No, they were taken yesterday.
They were taken yesterday?
Yes, sir.
Okay, any wrecks or anything happened with the fireworks tent out there and what they did prior to 4th of July and selling fireworks?
Not that I know about the fireworks, but the access road that, nobody bought fireworks with the burn stuff on as much as they did. I think Mr. Jordan requested that they remove this additional lane up at the planning meeting, and of course it's still there, but I don't know what time frame we were looking at for him to remove that, because he was only allowed to have one entrance and he's got 2 on the front, and there's a lot of confusion when people are starting to turn into the dual entrance right there as opposed, but that's an issue for codes and all wanting to be developed on stuff. Now I want to get to see all of the safety issues and all that. I don't know if anybody has any questions about that. This is not my report. I'm just giving you information that was handed through me.
I have a question for Mr. Williams. Who created the petition? Like
who created
who
the
typed
petition?
it up?
It wasn't me. Somebody came and asked me. I got one page of that. The first page, I took the first page and I went to the people, if you see on there, that are on page 1 of it that's not, I went to the people that were adjoining property owners because I didn't want to get into a situation if the adjoining property owners and the people right around there were okay with what was going on. So I talked to those 16, 17 people that were on there. The rest of them were handed to me this afternoon about 2:30.
When you or the others that were circulating the petition talked to the people, like what did you explain to them that the petition does? Or why did you ask them to sign the petition? What was your explanation?
I just asked them to read the top. I just explained that Mr. Fogel and them were trying to get that turning lane removed from being put in out there, and which he is. And did they want the turning lane? Did they think the safety issues did necessitate one being in there?
Well, the petition is slightly misleading because the petition is asking the county government to install a turn lane.
No, it's addressed on the top to TDOT, and then it's coming down to the county commission and all this to do that. But it's really asking the county government to maintain the The county government has to request it from the state, so
Well, it's addressed to the state, but it's also addressed to the county, and it asks the above-mentioned bodies of government to install a turn lane. It doesn't mention anything about requiring the applicant to continue making his bond payments until the road is built. I just think the way it's worded, I hope the people didn't think they were signing this and asking the county to install a turn lane.
No,
That's what it says on the petition.
Well, no, they were just to stay the course of where we were. And then the last thing on this will be Mr. Fogel's application. In his application for this, it lists applicant's name, and then it goes down and it says property owner if different from applicant, and he lists the property as retail in the Dollar General. Well, Mr. Fogel does not own the Dollar General. He might own the bond that was done that, but he sold that to Monty Turner, and Monty Turner sold it to an investment group, and I've pulled out a copy of all of the deed, and it's with Dollar General, and they are very wordy in everything that they do, but basically all this says and look at is that if you do anything with these properties, you need to notify them. If you need to have the permission of all three properties, Lot 1, Lot 2, and Lot 3, as I understand this, in order to do this. And so I would suggest that this is an invalid application from that reason. And then on the other part of it, it says over here, if the answer to no of any of the following requirements, he's supposed to do something else. Well, he checked no on 2 of those, and there's not been any application for anything else that I know. It also says, will you employ anyone? Now, he's not going to employ anybody at, he checked no. He's not going to employ anybody at Dollar General because he doesn't own Dollar General. The question that was proposed to TDOT just asked specifically would it be required if Dollar General, and their answer was that we would not estimate that would be the thing. They haven't done a study. They haven't done a study with a Dollar General, a beer store, a Subway, and a dance studio, and a landscaping thing, and they haven't done a study with all of those, and you add Clear Ridge Drive. His requirement to put a turning lane from the Dollar General all the way to Clear Ridge Drive was clearly because he has access that is required in the deed to maintain all of the entrance and egress from that. So I would just hope that y'all would either turn this down because the application is wrong, that he doesn't own the Dollar General, therefore he can't apply for that. Secondly, none of the people from the Dollar General property have even been informed by the county government. I talked to the gentleman that represents the people that own it, and he was surprised that anything of this nature was going on. And I talked to the people at Dollar General, the VP in sales, and he was surprised that no one had contacted them, as he said, based on what the deed and the lease says. So I would just ask that you would turn it down because he clearly does not own the property, and all of the specific notifications of people within 500 feet have not been met because none of the people that own Lot 3 have been notified. Therefore, it's not a legal, or I wouldn't say legal because I don't know. It's not what we normally do to notify anybody since they haven't done that. So that's all I got.
All right, Mr. Jernigan has a question.
How long has that Dollar General been there?
Opened in 2010, late 2010.
Well, why didn't they put a turn lane in? We're up here now talking about it. Why didn't they make them put one before they ever build it like they have these others?
I can answer that. I talked to Jim Tracy about the reason that it wasn't put in May, it's in your packets here, in May of 2009, this was approved. In July the 16th of 2009, at Mr. Murphy's office, they invited Jim Tracy and Mr. Gaffron from TDOT and some other people, and they were discuss what to do about the turning lane. And they told him that there was a study that was going on to widen Highway 99. And in a letter later from Mr. Ali Fernando that I have talked to several times, he's since retired, he was the one that was in charge of this, and he was who I had talked with several times about the turning lane, and he understood the traffic flow, and he said that what they would do is to not require him to put this in, because if 99 went out that far, it didn't make sense for him to spend his money to put it in and just take it back out, which we all understood that at that time. But it's been 2.5 years now. The study has been completed. According to the state, the widening is only going to go to Veterans Parkway. That project has not been funded yet. You may know more about this, Joe Frank, than anybody else. It's going to start where the bridge is, and it's going to gradually go out in increments. In order to get to just the Veterans Parkway, we're looking at years. And I was told that the one in front of this thing would be 15 to 20 years before the widening in front of this was even going to happen. So we don't need, if you look through your pictures there, and I'll go through those real quick. On the very first one that I showed you, it shows pedestrians walking down the side of this road. You can see the Dollar General on the left-hand side back there and the people there. We have many, many bikers, bicyclists. I was on the Bicycle Safety Committee for a while, and they love this road out there to do this. What's happening right now is when somebody comes up there in the Dollar General and they're going to turn left, somebody else just wheels around them in this lane right there. I have seen people in the mornings. You take a mother that's about to get her kids late to school. I saw her pass 6 cars to get around this people that were backed up right there. The biggest issue, if you look on the one where it had the mailboxes here, here's the Dollar General sign, and you're coming around. You can't even see this because this is a hill and it goes down to a curve. That's why there have been so many wrecks there over the years. If you'll remember looking at the well,
Mr. Williams, can you find a way respectfully to try to finish up here so we have others that wish to speak, I think.
I am finished.
Well, thank you very, very much. Now, others that wish to speak that haven't spoken, and I'm going to give Mr. Murphy one opportunity for rebuttal.
I'll keep it brief, and Mr. Reed needs to speak as to any traffic issues. But these issues with this turn lane were discussed with Dollar General during the negotiations of the joint access agreements. This is not anything that is a surprise to them. We do have the authority to go forward to discuss this and to make this application. This is something that had been discussed during the purchase of the property by Dollar General at length with their lawyer, Betty Winton. I, in fact, called her and sent her an email before we reapplied to request that this turn lane requirement be removed. This is not anything that's news to them. It was something that was discussed at length during negotiations when the property was purchased, and we indicated that at some point we could determine that the turn lane was not warranted, that we would in the future try to have that requirement removed, and they were perfectly fine with that during negotiations. We bonded it as the county requested us to bond it, and that was part of the obligations of the contract. And were we in the future able to have the turn lane removed, then our contract with Dollar General and their developer was that we could move forward with doing that. So we absolutely had permission to do that. And I can say that because I was part of those negotiations and was involved in all of them throughout the years of this development. So I can say that in good faith. Mr. Reed can speak for just a second about the traffic issues, because I think there's some misunderstanding that Mr. Williams may have about the data that he has.
Kind of get us back to we went off on a tangent, kind of what we was going for, but the turn lane requirements, I've been doing this for 20 years, engineering and designing Dollar Generals all over the East Coast. All of the ones, give you an idea, all of the ones that I've done in Tennessee, none of the ones I've done in Tennessee have required a turn lane on a state route road. And this is the only one, just to give y'all some information, this is the only one that's brought up this much issues, is this one here that I've designed. Give y'all an idea. But as far as the Clear Ridge subdivision goes, that quote standard number that the state typically goes by is roughly around 72 lots. So they still wouldn't place it on Clear Ridge Drive as of right now. I mean, even if somewhere around 70, 72, but still that's another point. And everybody keeps talking about the Clear Ridge Drive. That's not the drive we're dealing with. The turn lane is for the Dollar General, not for Clear Ridge Drive. I think there's a misconception of everybody thinking they're going to get a turn lane at Clear Ridge Drive. If it gets built, it'll be for Dollar General. Dollar General's interest, not Clear Ridge Drive's interest. I know that the residents out there want that, but what's getting built will be for the Dollar General, the entrance at the Dollar General. What Ryan alluded to earlier, the state, when I talk to the state, and I've done this a lot, and I'm an engineer, they typically look at a 0.5-mile radius each side of that intersection. They don't go a half a mile down the road, 2 miles down the road, wondering how wrecks are all over the city. You want to look at what that intersection you're studying is acting like. And does it warrant a turn lane? No, it does not warrant a turn lane. Everybody has said TDOT's letter, the engineer who's over this, the county, Tennessee Department of Highway and Safety and Homeland Security. How many more people, want to discuss what it warrants? And to go back to Doug's, what Tiffany brought up earlier, the new subdivision regulations and stuff to come up. You do a traffic study, warrants a traffic study, you put a turn lane in. If it doesn't, you don't. Pretty straightforward to me. And to go back to Ryan talking about, the building of Highway 99, based on what Senator Tracy and Mr. Fogel and I talked to him the other day, he's saying within a year they're looking at, studying that next phase. I know they're going out past where Mr. Joe Frank was talking about out past World Outreach. That's the first phase of it, but the next leg is coming out. I'm actually working on a couple of projects out past that way of extending sewer under the, so I know that, it's in the works to be coming out now. When the letting may come up, there's no exact date. I agree with Ron on that. But I guess I talked enough. But is there any other questions? I just want to kind of hit those key points. Can we kind of go off on a tangent, what wasn't required and what's required? And
well, I noticed Representative Womack was on that petition as well.
We've talked to him too, but he was misled, just like, excuse me, he was misled just like you were the way it read. He told Shane Fogel and us that it was misrepresentative to him. He would have not signed it if he had known the whole story. That's what he told us. But he left his name on there just because he signed it. But it was misrepresentative to him. So I don't want to go on that tangent, but that's why he signed it. He's not here. He's in Argentina.
Let's try to focus on the safety issues here. Anything else, Mr. Reed? Mr. Will
I've got a question
Turton.
for Mr. Reed. Now, the way I understand it is the state's not going to allow the turn lane.
State's not going to even let him build it.
We're talking about how long Mr. Fogel keeps the bond up.
Yes.
And regardless of what we do here tonight,
yeah,
one way or the other, the turn lane comes at the exact same time. The state's going to put it in when it comes to pass.
Right.
And whether that's in 2 years or 20 years, and if it's 20 years, that means Mr. Fogel's got to keep a bond up for the next 20 years for a turn lane. But as far as the residents out there getting a turn lane, whatever we do here tonight is totally irrelevant.
Right, correct.
It's just how long he keeps his bond up.
All right, thank you. Mr. Reed, is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Now, Mr. Williams, I'm going to let you speak, but this is going to be the last rebuttal because I really shouldn't even allow this. So please be concise.
I will be brief. 2 points. I asked the person that he was talking about if he wanted to take his name off, and he said he did not. Gave him the opportunity. I'd talked to him, scratched it off if he wanted me to. He said no. The turning lane is supposed to go from Dollar General all the way to Clear Ridge. If you'll read your documents here, that was what was passed up here in 2009. It's not just Dollar General specific. Out on Highway 96 in 2009, a Dollar General was built with one store on a straight stretch of road. We required them to put one in, and one got put in, and it's out there today. The only reason that this was not put in was because the applicant and his good team asked TDOT for some way to delay this. Now, the people that I've talked to at the state, Mr. Trammell, said if the county commission wanted them to put one in and requested it, they would put it in. It would not have to wait for all of these other stuff. It's not going to get put in at RIM. It would just be put in if we requested it. Now, I can't say whether they will or not, but there have been several people at the state that have assured me if this got passed, that would go in and get put in, and it would not be tied to this long-range development. So that's kind of a critical issue on that, plus the fact that it's not just for the Dollar General. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. P., excuse me.
You said something that concerned me quite a bit. You said that one of the 3 people of these 3 lots did not receive notice from planning.
That's right.
Letter. They're within the 500 feet boundary. Is that correct?
The person, the people who, Dollar General does not own this property now. Monty Turner bought it from Mr. Fogel, developed the property, and he sold it. And your last page on the handout gives you the people that own this. It's Together LLC over in Virginia.
That's who didn't receive it.
They told me yesterday that they had not. I guess it was yesterday. Yesterday when they had called me back that they had not received anything and didn't know anything about it. Those are the people who own this property in Lot 3, and they did not receive any notification. They may have had tremendous dialogue with Dollar General, but Dollar General does not own this. They just have the lease on this property. This gentleman or their investment group is the one that paid $1.4 million for that property. Those are the owner of record, and they've not received any notice.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that goes to our planning director and we get that rectified, or do we have a procedure on how to identify who owns the property, and did we in fact try to send a letter to these property owners?
Are there others in the audience that wish to speak that haven't spoken? Okay, I don't see anyone else rising to speak, so we're going to declare the public hearing closed. And what's the wishes of the commission with respect to this conditional use permit request 12-A006? Mr. Farley.
Well, right now, at this time, it's in my district, and when the redistricting goes into effect, it's going to be in Commissioner Phillips's district. And when they contacted me, I asked them to contact her as well, so she would be knowing what's going on as well. So I got some questions. The first question, Doug, we have received a letter from the state of Tennessee stating that a turn lane is not warranted.
That is correct. It was in your agenda materials, yes, sir.
Okay. All right. If Mr. Fogel sells this lot, and the developer, being him, and a turn lane is warranted by a traffic study or by the state of Tennessee, will he have to?
Based on the recommendation that we've made in your staff comments, if this were changed, then the amendment that that he's asking to be made in the condition we put in there, the traffic study would come at the next time that I guess it's lot 2 is developed. And at that point, if it's warranted, whoever is applying for the development at that point would be responsible for it.
Okay. So there could be a turn lane that be warranted when this thing is developed
That's correct.
further?
Yes,
okay.
sir.
All right. The next question will be Mr. Cope. Some of the questions that are things that were brought up by Ronald Williams, legal questions. Can you give us a county's legal opinion on some of those things?
I could certainly try to respond, but there were probably a half a dozen questions, and so unless somebody tells me which one they want answered, I'm not able to do that. If you can specifically recall which one you want a response to.
The permit thing, where he was saying that a permit was started, the language he talked about as far as in the zoning about the permit.
Okay, are you talking about as to what area was to be served by the turn lane?
When the permit was bought for Dollar General,
yes,
was what I'm assuming he was talking about.
Okay, I just don't know within the context. I heard what he said, but I don't know what the question is relating to the permit. It sounded like there was a considerable disagreement about who got notification, if that's what you're talking about.
No, I'm talking about.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Pearl, I think I can answer your question. The section Mr. Williams was discussing is section 6.18, which talks about assurance of compliance with a conditional use permit, and that's what he was reading from. Every conditional use permit shall be conditioned upon the proposed development complying with all requirements of this resolution, so forth and so on. Let me see. Okay. Okay. In the event a permit for conditional use is approved subject to conditions, the applicant shall in writing acknowledge such approval, which is what the conditional use permit form that we have is. Such approval and unconditionally accept and agree to any condition imposed on the approval. I think what his point was that since he agreed to it, he should be required to do it. Now, he did further say in section 6.19, which is the very next section, that conditional use permits may be amended. Okay, now, I don't think anybody was trying to suggest that after the turn lane's built that he's done his job, he can come get his money back. That certainly is not the case. However, and it's not uncommon for us to see amendments to conditional use. You have this one tonight, and there's another one right after this one. There's a second amendment. Things change and developments over time, and there's nothing that says that they cannot ask. If they do ask and a condition is removed, then a new conditional use permit, amended one, is filed and recorded, kept in the file, and is signed by the applicant, and that is placed in the file. So that becomes the new document that he has to be in compliance with. So there's not any kind of a statute of limitations, if you will, for saying after you have your approval, you have only so many days before you can ask for an amendment. Again, it's not uncommon to see amendments.
So basically,
to those.
It's legal for a person to come in and ask for amendment to the.
Yes, sir, it is.
Being that the state of Tennessee says it's not warranted, and based on the recommendation as far as when the developer will come back and if a turn lane is warranted, when the lot is sold, I'll make a motion that we approve the request.
Second by Mrs. Phillips. Discussion? Any discussion? There being no discussion, I think you must be ready to vote. I think in this particular case, I'm going to call for what's that, Ms.? The motion is to approve the request to remove the requirement for the turn lane bond to be kept in place. All right, please cast your votes.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Okay, record the votes.
18 yes, 1 no, 1 abstain. Motion passes.
Okay, the next request is a request to amend conditional use permit number 12-A007. The applicant is Murfreesboro Kubota, located at 4102 Shelbyville Pike. The existing zoning is R16, if that's correct, Mr. Demosi.
It's a typo, sir.
That's-
It's R15.
What's the number?
It's R15.
R15, that's a typo. Existing conditional use permit is a planned unit development. The requested amendment is to change the master plan layout and add commercial uses and reduce the masonry requirement on approximately 10 acres. Mr. Demosi.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. The applicant is, this is a piece of property located on the west side of Shelbyville Pike, right there at the intersection of Rucker Road. The applicant's proposing to amend the master plan for the Davenport Station plan development by replacing a townhome portion of the development and 7 single-family lots with 2 larger commercial lots, each about 5 acres each. And you'll see that there is a copy of the master plan attached with your agenda materials, as well as a larger plan on the table before you. The original master plan showed 10 commercial lots along Shelbyville Pike. No commercial uses, however, were approved with that plan development. It was always intended at some point the applicant would come back to make some amendments to the plan development. So the applicant is now proposing to add a list of commercial uses to be allowed within the subdivision. Again, that's included with your agenda. The purpose of this amendment that he's asking for tonight is to allow the northern lot to be used by the Murfreesboro Kubota for a tractor sales and service center. Proposed hours of operation would be Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturdays 7 a.m. to noon. And the specific use of the southern lot at this point is not known. The concept plan you have on your tables shows a 15,000 square foot building. Now your comments say a 4,000 square foot attached porch. After these comments were written, the applicant came back with a slightly reduced porch. It's actually only 1,000 square feet now. So the majority of the building will be a shop area, with the remainder being composed of a showroom and offices. There's also 2 large gravel display areas and a guardrail surrounding the property for security purposes. One of the conditions of the original approval is that all the structures that are constructed there must be composed of a minimum of 35% masonry material, like a brick, stone, hardy plank, or similar material. The applicant is proposing to reduce the requirement from 35% to a minimum of 20% for that lot and also for the adjacent 5 acres. One of the conditions that was originally approved in the plan development, again, dealt with traffic improvements, turn lane, and traffic signals. Of course, this was a very large development with multifamily, single-family, and commercial uses. Now, according to the letter submitted by Huddleston Steel, the Kubota dealership in and of itself would not warrant any kind of a traffic signal. However, since the applicant's only responsible for developing the first lot, which would be Lot 1A of what we're talking about tonight, a percentage of those traffic improvements will need to be placed in an escrow account. And Huddleston Steel Engineering has estimated that each 5-acre tract would contribute about $2,250 toward the future improvements and a traffic signal in that area. And that's estimated that only 10 acres is 4.5% of the Davenport Station, and assuming that the signal will cost about $100,000. So with that, you'll notice on the, as part of your staff comments, that the Planning Commission did recommend approval unanimously on this, with the conditions that each development place escrow in the amount that I discussed just a moment ago for the future construction of the traffic signal at that intersection, and also that the 35% masonry requirement listed in the original plan development application be reduced to 20%. I've said kind of a mouthful there, but if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them at this time.
Questions of Mr. Demosi? Okay, thank you then. We're going to declare the public hearing open on this request to amend the conditional use permit 12-A007. Those of you that wish to speak, come forward, give us your name and address, and make your comments. Is there anyone that wishes to speak? I did declare it open, so the public hearing is open, but if no one wishes to speak, then I'm going to declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion concerning this project? Mr. Farley.
I've spoken to Mr. Harney, and I have no problem with this amendment, and I make a motion we approve it.
We have a second, Commissioner Jernigan and Commissioner Young. All right, discussion, questions? Commissioner P.?
Just a quick question. It says there to the plan unit development, requested amendment, you're adding commercial uses. Does that mean that you already had commercial as part of the zoning, or are you just giving us the usage for the commercial zone property in that PUD there?
When the PUD was originally approved, Mr. P., The original master plan does show commercial uses along 231 on the frontage there, but no uses were specified. So basically what he's doing is specifying the commercial uses for this lot and for the lot next to it, the other 5-acre parcel.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure we weren't sliding commercial in on something they hadn't discussed early.
No, sir. It was always intended to be commercial along the highway.
Other questions or discussion? All right, all of you in favor of that then, please say aye. Are there any opposed? Let the record reflect that was unanimous. The third request is a rezoning and conditional use permit, number 12-A009 by Roads Development, located at 5700 Epps Mill Road and Miller Road. And that existing zoning is R15. They're requesting zoning for industrial and requested conditional use permit for light industrial activities, transport and warehousing, general retail trade, transit accommodations, and food services on approximately 88 acres. Mr. Demosi.
Yes, Mayor Burgess, thank you. Just as a way of background, approximately 22 acres of this property in question was rezoned to commercial back in 1971 as part of a blanket rezoning around the I-24 Buchanan interchange. And when I say blanket, essentially what I mean is the description, when you look at it, it says, and I don't have the exact numbers, but it said, we're taking a piece of land 500 feet going this way, 1,000 feet going that way and back. So that's kind of what I'm talking about with a blanket rezoning. Surrounding area contains C2 retail, wholesale trade, transportation, industrial, and also R15 zones. The applicant's proposing to rezone the land for potential industrial uses that Mayor Burgess went over just a moment ago. Primary uses would likely be indoor manufacturing, transportation, and warehousing, with the possibility of some convenience commercial uses as well. The concept that there's a copy of the concept plan in your agenda materials. It's really a conceptual plan. It's not something to be held to. But they show the property divided in about 15 lots, with one lot being the location of the existing Dollar General out there on Epps Mill Road. The lots range from about 2 acres to a little over 18 acres. The applicant is proposing to continue to extend Capitol Way to the south of Epps Mill Road, which is an existing road, the Epps Mill, which is actually a portion of that's used to access the Dollar General now. A small portion of that was constructed. Remaining lots are proposed to have direct access onto Epps Mill or also Miller Road. Huddleston Steel Engineering, who's been helping with this application, helping the applicant with this application, submitted a memo studying that the need for a traffic signal at this intersection of Epps Mill and Capitol Way, that they do feel that there is a need, but at this time, not enough traffic exists to warrant that traffic signal, but the situation should be reanalyzed upon the development of 1/3 and 2/3 of the site, or when the traffic on Epps Mill Road does increase. Now, the concept plan again shows the extension, and there's a couple concerns that we had I want to go over. The concept plan does show the extension of Capitol Way ending in a cul-de-sac on the property. We really don't like that. We have some concerns about just that road ending right there in a dead end or even a cul-de-sac. We'd prefer to see some sort of a stub road. Again, it's a concept plan, not to be held to, but that is something we've made the applicant aware of. And that would also make the ability to extend that road to adjacent property to the south. Now, in the utility section of the report, there is noted that there are water capacity limitations to this property. To improve water capacity, developer will have to pay to increase the size of the water lines to serve this area. This is something they'll need to work with CUD on as they continue their development process. Right now, they really don't have any uses in mind. They're just looking to better market the property. And just a note about Epps Mill Road. It's generally accepted that the road itself and also the interchange will need to be improved to accommodate the kinds of development that are predicted for this particular area. The application does have the potential to have some impact on Miller Road, but depending on how the road network is laid out, we may be able to avoid direct access onto Miller Road itself. Again, it's difficult to determine the impact of the rezoning because there have not been any specific uses identified at this point, although they do have a list of uses that they are anticipating. So as the property is developed, the applicant will need to ensure that any improvements to the adjacent or nearby transportation system are provided in order to maintain an adequate level of service for the area and safety. Now, you'll see that the conditions that were recommended by the Planning Commission, and this was recommended approved by the Planning Commission by unanimous vote, the right-of-way for Epps Mill would have to be dedicated upon any development being brought into the county for both Epps Mill and Miller Road. The site plan or subdivision plat applications must be accompanied by traffic studies that demonstrate the need for any improvements to the adjacent and nearby transportation system, again, to maintain levels of service and acceptable level of safety. A signal warrant analysis would be conducted upon the development of 1/3 and 2/3 of the site, which would be 30 and 60 acres, or when Epps Mill Road traffic doubles or triples. And then the road built to access the property would provide the opportunity for future extension. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions. Again, the Planning Commission did vote to recommend approval of this by unanimous vote.
Questions of Mr. Demosi? Okay, well, thank you, sir. Therefore, we will declare the public hearing open with respect to this request, number 12-A009, for a rezoning and conditional use permit. If there are those in the audience that wish to speak for or against this request, please come forward. Okay, I don't see anyone wishing to speak, it appears. Therefore, we'll declare the public hearing closed. And do we have a motion regarding this request? Commissioner Jernigan.
Make a motion to approve as recommended by planning.
Conditions. Second by Mrs. Cook. Other discussion or questions? All in favor of this, then please say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? That is unanimous. Now we go to our fourth application for rezoning and conditional use permit request, number 12-A010, requested by Montgomery Turner, located on Lascassas Pike, an existing zoning of R15, requested zoning of services and a conditional use permit for general retail trade, animal care, veterinary services, consumer repair services, financial, consultative, and administrative, general personal services, entertainment and amusement services, food and beverages services, and food service drive-in and drive-through, and the general business and communication service and medical services. Everything that's in our portfolio. The site of the site is approximately 5.67 acres. Mr. Demosi.
Yes, Mayor Burgess, thank you. And just a note about the uses that the applicant's requesting. Those particular categories of uses are actually what you'll see in the zoning ordinance draft. What we've asked them to do is to kind of tailor the conditional use permit to the language that's used in the new document. So whenever that document is finally approved, it'll be more consistent with what's in there. So there's a variety of uses under each of those, but that's where those come from, just as give you an idea where those came from. Again, this property is located along Lascassas Pike. The applicant's proposing to build a small shopping center anchored by a Dollar General with 2 additional shops. The concept plan shows the size of the proposed building to be 11,500 square feet, majority of which, about 9,100 square feet, would be filled by the Dollar General store. The applicant has submitted a proposed front and side elevation, which does show a brick and masonry finish. Access and parking and landscaping, of course, would all need to meet the county's regulations. And as way of background of this application, in April 2008, the Planning Commission voted to approve the Dayspring Baptist Fellowship Church site plan for the property. The site plan was renewed back in May of last year, 2011, but was never finalized. No permits were ever issued, and that plan has since expired, and the property is currently vacant. So since that time, the applicants were approached by the folks from Dollar General. Not too long ago, I think it was a little earlier this year, maybe even late last year, the Dollar General folks had come in for a piece of property that was zoned commercial on the corner of Lofton Road and Lascassas Pike. You recall there was a pharmacy there at one point. They had actually received approval from the Board of Zoning Appeals since it was already zoned commercial. They didn't have to come back through this process. But the plans for that particular store had fallen through, so they're actually looking in, they're just a little further down the road, and they're pretty much in the same area. So that just gives you a little bit of background for that. This is directly across the street from the Peachtree Nursery that was rezoned to services back in 2006, and there is that lot that I spoke to you about that's about 3.5 acres that was zoned commercial back in 1979, their original site that they were looking at. The Planning Commission did recommend approval of this particular application. This area is within the Lascassas development node as identified on our comprehensive plan. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Commissioner P.
Under uses, you've got food and beverage services. Is that a bar?
Based on the new regulations, I think that would fall under that, yes, sir.
Be able to put a bar in that area then?
if somebody wanted to. Now, assuming that the new again, this is tailored off the new zoning regulations, assuming that goes through. But let me. I'm gonna look it up for you. I don't want to speak without making sure I've got my. Bar would, yes, food and beverage service would fall under that. I don't see anything specific in here for liquor store, but I just might be missing it. But to answer your first question, that would be a permissible use under the new zoning regulations. Liquor store, I'm not just seeing it right here. Beer, wine, distilled alcoholic beverages. The sale of beer, wine, and distilled alcoholic beverage sales would fall under general retail trade. Based on the recommended zoning for this property, if the new zoning goes through, it's be commercial services. General retail trade, greater than 5,000 feet, would be permitted in that district, yes, sir.
Were you able to answer those questions then?
I think I was. As far as I know, I was, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, any other questions or discussion? Okay, thank you, Mr. Demotion. Now, if there are those present that wish to speak for or against this application for rezoning conditional use permit number 12-A010, please come forward and give us your name and address and make your comments. The public hearing is open.
Mayor, Commissioners, I'm Ted Goodman, 11,001 Goodman Lane, Milton. First off, I want to make clear I'm not here representing anybody. I'm an attorney, but I'm here just today as a citizen who would like to have some more commercial opportunities where I live. I've lived in Milton my entire life. I think the area is definitely underserved by commercial opportunities. I really don't know that I could have convinced my wife to move to Milton if she had realized we were about 25 minutes from the nearest place to get milk. So, I'm really glad that Dollar General and some other commercial opportunities will be moving there. My entire life, there is no running out to the store to get something. If we get ready to have hamburgers and we realize we don't have any mustard in the house, we don't run out to get mustard. We just don't have hamburgers that night. We change and get spaghetti instead. So, and I really think this place is a really good, the proposed location is very appropriate. It's right across the street from the convenience center, a lot of people call it. I call it the dump. And it's also right across the street from the Peachtree Landscaping. So I don't think we would be impacting any area that has not already been impacted by commercial development. There's really nowhere along that stretch of road that I can think of that would be less impacted by bringing in a much-needed commercial development. And I think the area is underserved, and I'm very excited that it'll be coming there, and I would certainly ask you to vote to approve it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else that wishes to speak? We have another gentleman. Please come forward.
I'm Ernie Brown. I'm at 7125 Canesville Pike. I own the property that joins it on the east side, and I did not receive a letter about this meeting. When we discussed this at the last Cassie school, they said that there would be no alcohol served and that they would build a fence around the property. I've not seen anything to assure me or Mr. Young either one of that.
Other people, excuse me, you want to ask him a question, Mr.
Brown, did you said there was a meeting at last Cassie School, community meeting, and then it was a public hearing and went before planning commission. You didn't know nothing about that.
I saw the sign, but I
All right, are there other people that wish to speak? We have another gentleman that wishes to speak. Come forward.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. I'm Monty Turner, 628 West Irish Drive, Nashville, Tennessee. I'm the developer for the proposed project out in the Las Casas community. We are proposing an approximate 9,100 square foot Dollar General with 2 small retail shops attached. It is located across from the landscaping company and the recycle center. As far as the food and beverage, we might have a sandwich shop, but we would be receptive to, if the commission felt like there was a condition warranted to restrict alcohol sales, we would certainly not be opposed to that condition. As far as the fence, Mr. Brown, we talked after the meeting, and I told you I'd be happy to put a fence up along our property line, and I stand by that. If there are any specific questions regarding the project, I'll be happy to answer those, and my engineer, Steve Steele, is here for specific engineering questions. Yes, sir.
Commissioner P.
Monty, when you had your public hearing out there, did the residents, as Mr. Brown stated, say that they didn't want any alcohol served there? I mean, he mentioned it himself there. That's why what specifically were they asking for?
Not specifically at that meeting, but I have heard through just discussions with folks out there that the beer sales could be a problem. And I respect that from the community. If that's how the community feels, then I would be open to a condition on the zoning.
I mean, I was asking you how the community felt. You're the one that.
But it didn't. We only had about 8 community members out there present at the time. I don't recall that issue coming up.
Any other questions of Mr. Montgomery Turner here, I believe? All right. Thank you. Are there others that wish to speak? I don't see any. Yes, sir, I do believe there's another gentleman. Please come forward and give us your name and address.
John Wilkinson, 2690 Memorial Boulevard. Mr. P., to your comment, I have been Mr. Turner's local contact for Las Casas. There have been, yes, a number of people who have raised concern about the alcohol. I would say the number could exceed 20 people that have expressed concern. Don't want to mislead anybody about that. So, thank you, sir.
Anyone else that wishes to speak? All right, no one else wishing to speak. We're going to declare the public hearing closed. And do we have a motion or discussion regarding this? Commissioner Black.
A few folks out there about it, and everybody was real receptive to it. I hadn't received one call saying that they didn't want it. As far as the food and the beverage, and I hadn't had no calls about that also. So I'm gonna recommend approval according to the recommendation from the Planning Commission.
Schaefer. All right. We have a motion and a second to approve the request with the conditions outlined in the coming forward from the Planning Commission. Other discussion or questions? Commissioner P. Right. And could you tell us, does that mean both liquor by the drink and or bulk sales as well? Alcohol is alcohol. Allow any. All right. For consumption, any alcohol for consumption. All right, we have a motion to amend the motion that would not allow the sale of any alcohol, any products there. Do we have a second to that amendment? Excuse me, Commissioner Gooch, second now.
But just let me finish. I'm going to be short, but Monty is really good to work with, and I've worked with him on 2 different sites there. He says he'll do something, he'll do it, and I've got all the respect in the world for these folks. But I think the people in the community there ought to be heard from if they don't want more bars or liquor to be sold in their areas. And you heard a spokesman there say of 20 people that he had talked to said something about it. So, I think we're following their wishes if we leave that in there. And like I said, I've got nothing at all problem with Dollar General as a whole. I'm for this project going in. I hate this guy can't have hamburgers when he doesn't have mustard. But, you might try going to Auburn Town. It's a little closer. So, thank you.
All right. Commissioner Black, did you wish to speak?
I think I got a question for Mr. Cope. As far as the distance from the school and churches and all, I think it's 600 foot.
Well,
alcohol,
that's correct. If someone were to apply, they'd still have to apply. Even if this restriction wasn't there, they'd still have to apply to get a permit for the sale, and then that permit would be viewed by whatever standards and regulations there are for the sale of alcoholic beverages. But what Commissioner P. has proposed would pre-termit that issue. That is, you wouldn't get to that point because this property would be conditioned with no sale of alcoholic beverages. So they wouldn't even be eligible to make an application for a permit.
Could they challenge this?
Anybody.
Could they challenge this in court? Isn't that all the requirements of the county? I'm not no advocate of beer drinking or whatever, but I'm trying to look out for the best interest of the county.
Yeah, well, of course, anybody can challenge anything, but you mean can they challenge it successfully? I do not think so. Plus, as Commissioner P. noted, I think Mr. Turner's indicated he's agreeable to this, and he'll stand by what he says, so I don't believe there'll be a challenge to that.
Schaefer?
Yeah, I just want to add, rubbing alcohol is different, but I think alcohol is just not alcohol. I think there's one thing when it's off-premise, which allows them to sell something like beer in the store if they so desire. And when you're talking 20 people, okay, maybe that's all the man talked to, but how many are out there? It's basically in that area is a good chunk of the 48th state representative district, and so there's a lot more than 20 people out there. There's a lot more than 50. Maybe there's not much interest, but I think that, to me, they need to devise a way to see what the public actually wants.
Okay, Commissioner Young.
We don't sell liquor in the county, correct? I mean, so if this amendment was turned down and beer sales, or we grant that through the beer board. I was on the beer board as an alternate, and we have that committee process in place for that to make sure the distances are correct, the application's correct, and what forth. And we always talk about here on the commission, we need to go by committees. Well, we got a beer board. That's what they're there for, to make sure that they're following what we're supposed to do. By putting a precedent in place on the front end of saying, well, we just don't need beer sales. Well, all the people are going to do is go down to Dutton's and buy their beer on the way to the lake, and we're going to give that revenue up. I agree that we don't need a bar out there. But if you're going to sell beer in the store, if we're going to put a restriction on that, we're just giving revenue to Cannon County. I mean, that's the truth of it. Whether you like it or not, that's what's going to happen. I'd rather the revenue come into Rutherford County. Now, I don't think we need a bar in Las Casas. Don't get me wrong. But I don't want to see that revenue given up when all the people are going to do is stop there, buy the beer, and go to the lake. That's why I'm going to vote down on this amendment. Now, if the amendment come back of where we had it in place where they couldn't do on-site beer sales to drink, I'd be fine with that. But beer sales in general, I think we need to allow that to go through the committee process with the beer board. I just don't like putting restrictions in place that we shouldn't be putting in place. We should let that fall through the committee as we need to. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me see, does anyone else wish to speak before we go back to Commissioner Black? I think not. Then Commissioner Black.
I'm going to have to agree with Commissioner Young about that. I just say I'm gonna be voting against this amendment. I'm gonna be voting for the original one that's in place.
All right, any other discussion? All right, there's not any other discussion. We're going to vote on the amendment, and the amendment is to remove the ability from this request to sell alcohol in any form or fashion. All right, you're ready to vote. Please cast your votes.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the votes.
11 yes, 10 no. Amendment passes.
Vote on the motion, and the motion is to approve this rezoning and conditional use permit subject to the conditions recommended by the Planning Commission. Are you ready to vote on that? All right, all in favor of that, please say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? That motion carried then. Thank you very much. Now we're going to take just 2 or 3 minutes here, assuming how long Commissioner Phillips take. I think all of you, hopefully, Doug, have they had these documents placed on their table, their place? And what you're seeing there is the result of 4.5 years of work. This started all the way back in 2008, January of 2008, when the planning department, Mr. DeMosi, submitted a list of planning projects to the Planning Commission. Included in that request was a long-range goal of developing a comprehensive plan for the unincorporated areas of Rutherford County and to revise the zoning resolution. So over this extended period, a carefully detailed, a lot of work has gone into this plan that all of you had a part in. First of all, you guys saw the wisdom of needing to do this, and you approved enough dollars to fund a study with an outside firm that allowed this to happen. And our planning staff and our planning commission, and we appointed a group of members called a steering committee that helped us through this whole formative initial process. We've had extraordinary feedback from our stakeholders, from the public, and I think Commissioner Phillips might outline, it's just an almost unbelievable number of meetings and discussions that have taken place. This county, as you well know, has had enormous growth, and a plan that we had in place since 1984 needed some really serious structural review and some changes made to enhance our ability to really properly address the growth and to match the growth with the infrastructure. And those things have all been really, really seriously and thoughtfully addressed and readdressed. So we've come to this place in our efforts here, and the Planning Commission has actually recommended the approval of this zoning resolution, and soon thereafter you're going to get an opportunity to help us decide if we're going to accept this. One of the most important things that this commission has had to do in the last several years, I believe, it's really a fundamental foundational thing that we need to put in place to allow us to continue to move forward in a very, very appropriate way. So with that being said, I'm going to let Commissioner Phillips tell you sort of the timeline. We're not going to discuss this. We're not going to try to say whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. He's just going to give you an overview of where we've come from and where we're going and what our next steps will be. Mayor Phillips wants to just do that from his chair. He can.
Thank you, Mayor Burgess. We got into a lengthy discussion a few months ago that related to our legal services department, and we talked about what a prior commission did, and we weren't bound by that. And that's the reason that we, as a planning commission, thought it real important that we be up front as much as we possibly could about the new comprehensive plan. Mayor Burgess mentioned that it started 4 years ago. It started in the first part of 2008, if I remember correctly, and the commission at that time voted unanimously to spend the money to hire a consultant to help us and guide us through this process. The reasons for that was basically some constant legal challenges that were coming up out of decisions that were being made through the Planning Commission that seemed to be, in essence, somewhat outdated and antiquated. So the Commission moved to charge the Planning Commission to look at updating and developing a new comprehensive plan. Where have we been? It's just amazing kind of looking back at this. We started in the first half of 2008 and adopted in our budget for 2008 and 2009 the monies to spend on the consultant to perform those duties. The steering committee was established, and I'm probably going to be off by a few meetings here, but the steering committee meeting itself conducted over a period of a year to a year and a half, conducted 14 different meetings and at least a half a dozen different community meetings out in the community to gather information. 38 total meetings over a 2-year period of time just in the development of the ideas and of the plan. That within itself took somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 years for us to get to the point to where we reached last year in 2011. The steering committee recommended, with the help of the consultants, a draft comprehensive zoning ordinance plan. At that point, it was pretty much turned over to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission started looking at the draft ordinance last year in August. Had a first work session in September. The zoning map was distributed in October. Then the Planning Commission itself conducted 4 different community meetings to put this in front of the public and to get, once again, public input. It really wasn't a public hearing per se, but we had those public meetings to bring the new plan and to explain to the public in 4 different community meetings what the plan was really all about. We held an additional work session as we received information back from the public in October of last year, and we presented changes from those community meetings and the work sessions in November to the Planning Commission. We scheduled our first public hearing in December of last year. I hate to say that we were surprised, but I was a little surprised. I can't say the Planning Commission or even the staff was, but there were tremendous public interest in that December meeting. And that December meeting went on for hours and hours. So the Planning Commission took under advisement all of the information that was received at that public hearing in December and used January, February, and March and conducted 3 different totally dedicated work sessions to make modifications to the plan and to try to compromise wherever it was necessary to accommodate those comments by the public. The Planning Commission conducted a second public hearing in April of this year and received additional input. We thought we had answered all the questions, but undoubtedly we hadn't. So we took that under advisement and conducted 7 work sessions in April, May, and June, and actually a couple in July. So we took that second public hearing, listened to all of the comments made by the public, and made additional modifications and additional compromises to the plan. I hate to say compromises because we adjusted the plan according to what the public wanted or suggested. Then after that, those work sessions, we conducted our third public hearing, and that was this past Monday night on the 13th. Comments were few. We had 5 public comments. 4 of them dealt with the depth of, potential depth of a rock quarry, which we also promised that we would look at in the future, but we were going to go ahead and move on the plan the way it was written. So the public comments, we think, have dwindled down to the point to where the Planning Commission adopted this comprehensive plan and is forwarding it on to the County Commission for your consideration. Commissioner Phillips mentioned that it would probably come before this body next month, and I'm here to say that it will not come before this body next month, because we want this body to take as much time as you want and as much time as you need to study this plan and to bring those comments that you have, things that you're concerned with, up so that we can address those too. We don't want the thing just to go up or down. If you have issues as a county commissioner, things that you want addressed, we'll try our best to address those too. What we would like to see happen is for a joint meeting between the Planning Commission and the County Commission to cover this thing in a lot of detail so you'll know what's there. Some of the issues that we think were prevalent a year ago have been addressed and have been answered, and we think it's a pretty decent document. Once again, is it perfect, and are you going to like everything that's in there? Probably the answer would be no to that. But we do think that it's a document that will lead us not only this year, but for the foreseeable future. And it's also a document that would be easily adjusted as times change. Just to kind of highlight again, we've had 66 meetings over the last 4.5 years. 66 meetings talking about what should go in that document and what is in that document and where do we go from here. So where we go from here is that I would like for Mayor Burgess to dedicate a meeting between the county commissioners and the Planning Commission members to talk about, give you guys a month or so to take a look at this and get comments from your constituents, your neighbors, and be able to ask those questions before you have to vote on it. Now, this doesn't have to be a special call meeting, but this process would probably take a couple hours to go through. You can't go through this document in 2 minutes. You can't do it. So that's what we would like to see happen. Sometime over the next couple of months, we would like to present this document to the County Commission after you've had a chance to review it and be able to ask some questions and allow the planning staff and the Planning Commission itself the opportunity to address some of your concerns if you have any. Then take as much time as needed to adopt the plan after we've conducted as county commissioners an additional public hearing on the issue. So that's kind of where we are. We've spent untold number of hours, and the staff has dedicated untold number of energies going through this process. And I will say it was probably a pretty good time to go through the process. Economics have been probably as bad as they've been in years and years and years in the county, and we didn't have to look at a lot of different developments and a lot of different changes to certain zonings that we have had in the past. So the last couple of years have been a really good opportunity for us to spend the time looking at this. And the County Commission is now at the position to where you'll be making a decision. And we want that decision to be as informed as you possibly can. So that's the reason that we would like some dedicated meeting to where the staff of the Planning Commission would be able to present to you the high points and what's in there, and basically why it's different than what we have right now, and why those differences we think are important for us to go forward. Thank you, Mayor Burgess.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Phillips, and we will be having some internal discussions about when is the most appropriate time to have this work session. It won't be the session that you will be asked to debate and discuss and determine if you're going to approve it or not, but it may be that the September meeting will be a very, very light meeting, and we might want to dedicate that time for the work session as well. We don't have any public hearings that will be held next meeting, so there'll be no conditional use permit request. We'll keep you informed and stay in touch with you on how we should do that, but we must do that, we believe. Sir? Just go ahead and finish our agenda and then go right into the work session. Yeah, that's a good idea. It could be a very short meeting next September. We'll just have to see how the agenda sort of develops. Okay. Commissioner Gooch, are we ready for elections and confirmations?
Yes, we are, Mr. Chairman. Fellow Commissioners, Steering has several recommendations for your consideration this evening. On your desk, you should see a list of notary candidates, and I move for their election, Mr. Chairman.
Second, Commissioner Cook. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
We need to announce 2 vacancies on the Codes Enforcement Adjustment and Zoning Board. We need to announce a vacancy on the Road Board and School Board Zone Committee. This would be an at-large member. We need to announce a vacancy on the Beer Board. We need to fill 2 vacancies on the Community Care Board. Steering recommends Mr. Greg Lyles and Mr. Melvin Patterson, and I so move, Mr. Chair.
Second, Commissioner Farley. Any discussion? All in favor of that, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That carried.
Confirm reappointment of Mrs. Veronica Buchanan and Mr. Pettis Reed to the Rutherford County Regional Planning Commission. I so move, Mr. Chair.
Second, Commissioner Allen and Sandlin. Any discussion? All right, all in favor of that, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed to that? Thank you.
To announce election of the Chairman Pro Tem at September's Commission meeting. Also, we need to announce the election of the Chaplain at September's Commission meeting. And we need to tentatively elect a Commission Chairman, and I will yield to Speaker Sandlin.
I'm just going to do it here, Mayor. We need to tentatively elect a Commission Chairman, and I'll open the floor.
I'd like to nominate Mayor Burgess.
Mayor Burgess has been nominated. Second motion. Any other nominations? All those in favor of electing the mayor, our chairman, signify by saying aye. Aye. All that oppose? Mayor, congratulations.
Thank you for your vote of confidence.
And finally, we need to hold our election for our steering committee.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Gooch. And I think most of you know this process. Every one of you has an opportunity to nominate one person for the steering committee, and we'll give all of you that opportunity. Commissioner Phillips, then Commissioner Jernigan, and then Commissioner Tiffany Phillips.
Thank you, Mayor Burgess. I'd like to nominate Adam Coggin, the current chair of the steering committee.
Okay. Commissioner Coggin. Commissioner Jernigan.
Nominate Trey Gooch.
Gooch and Commissioner Phillips.
I nominate Commissioner Rhonda Allen.
That is Ms. Cook didn't hear. Ms. Allen. Rhonda Allen, please. Commissioner Ely.
Nominate Commissioner Jeff Jordan.
Jeff Jordan. Commissioner Gooch.
I nominate Commissioner Alan McAdoo.
McAdoo. And Commissioner Jordan.
Nominate Commissioner Gary Farley.
Farley.
I'd like to nominate Commissioner Brad Turner.
I'm nominating Commissioner Brad Turner. We're going so fast here. As our clerk being able to check these off. Let's see. Commissioner Cook.
I nominate Steve Sandlin.
Commissioner Sandlin. Other nominations?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Jack Black.
Commissioner Black, nominated by Commissioner McAdoo. Okay, just a moment here. Are there other nominations? All right, Commissioner Cook.
I move that the nomination cease.
Second, Commissioner Schaefer. All in favor of that, please say aye. All right, that's all of our nominations. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people nominated. And I will remind you that we will call the roll and you will vote for 7. And speak clearly and slowly so our clerk can properly record these votes. And we'll start with Commissioner Schaefer.
Mayor, I want you to know that every roll call vote we've had since I've been up here starts with District 1, not District 21.
Start for the other way and come back.
Yeah. I vote for Coggin, Gooch.
We'll have to, you probably give her just a little bit of time between there, okay?
Jordan, McAdoo, Farley, Sandlin, and Black.
And Madam Clerk, you can tell me when you're finished before we move to the next.
Just a moment, please.
So, Mr. Spence, would you read back his answers so we have 1 or 2 other people keeping this so we'll have more than one log here?
Commissioner Black, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Sandlin, Commissioner Jeff Jordan, Commissioner Coggin, Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Gooch.
Okay, I believe that's correct. Commissioner Black, you're next.
Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Coggin, Commissioner Farley.
Okay, Coggin.
Slow down. McAdoo and Coggin, and then next, please.
Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Gooch, Commissioner Sandlin, Commissioner Jordan, Commissioner Black.
Okay.
All right, we have that correct, I believe. Now we go to, it won't hurt to read them back. So Ms. Crowell, will you read them back to us just to be sure?
Commissioner Black, Commissioner Jordan, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Sandlin, Commissioner Coggin, Commissioner McAdoo, and Commissioner Gooch.
Okay. Now we're ready for Commissioner Will Jordan.
Commissioner Coggin, Commissioner Gooch, Commissioner Jeff Jordan, Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Sandlin, Commissioner Black.
You don't have this sheet that's in the same order we do, so that's why it's giving us a little bit of.
We're giving them the way they were nominated.
That's I understand. And our sheets are in order of 1, 2, 3, 4 districts, okay? So would the clerk please read those off, please?
Commissioner Black, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Sandlin, Commissioner Jeff Jordan, Commissioner Coggin, Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Gooch.
Okay, now we're ready for Commissioner P.
I say the same as the last one, but I'll call them out here. Commissioner Coggin, Gooch, Jordan, McAdoo, Farley, Sandlin, and Black.
Let me read.
Read them again, please.
Okay. Commissioner Black, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Sandlin, Commissioner Jeff Jordan, Commissioner Coggin, Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Gooch.
All right, Commissioner Cook.
Coggin, Mr. Gooch, Mrs. Allen, Mr. Jordan.
Moment. Continue on after Allen.
Continue. Did I say Mr. McAdoo?
No, you haven't
Oh.
said Mr. McAdoo.
Okay.
Saying Mr. McAdoo.
And Mr. McAdoo, and Mr. Farley, Mr. Sandlin, said 7.
That's your 7 votes. Yes, ma'am. And you can read that back to us, Madam Clerk.
I got 6 on that. Will you repeat what you said?
We have
Mr.
7.
Coggin, Mr. Gooch, Ms. Allen. That's one I didn't have down. Mr. Jordan, Mr. McAdoo, Mr. Farley, and Mr. Sandlin.
Previously said Mr. Coggin.
Yeah, I said Mr. Coggin. He's
Okay. Right.
I have. That's okay. I got Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Sandlin, Commissioner Jordan, Commissioner Coggin, Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Gooch, and Commissioner Allen.
Right. Commissioner Jernigan.
Commissioner Black, Commissioner Farley, Sadlin, Gooch, Coggin, Jeff Jordan, McAdoo.
Okay. I have Commissioner Black, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Sandlin, Commissioner Jeff Jordan, Commissioner Coggin, Commissioner McAdoo, and Commissioner Gooch.
Right. Commissioner Farley.
Commissioner Coggin, Commissioner Gooch, Commissioner Jeff Jordan, Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Sandlin, Commissioner Black.
Okay. I have Commissioner Black, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Sandlin, Commissioner Jeff Jordan, Commissioner Coggin, Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Gooch.
Tiffany Phillips.
Commissioner Black, Commissioner Coggin, Commissioner Allen, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Turner, Commissioner Gooch,
Moment. Did you say your last one, Commissioner Gooch?
that was the last one, but that's 6, so I've got one more.
Okay.
There's one more.
Commissioner McAdoo.
I have Commissioner Black, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Coggin, Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Gooch, Commissioner Allen, and Commissioner Turner.
Correct. Commissioner Sandlin.
Commissioner Coggin, Commissioner Gooch, Commissioner Jeff Jordan, Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Sandlin, Commissioner Black.
I have Commissioner Black, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Sandlin, Commissioner Jeff Jordan, Commissioner Coggin, Commissioner McAdoo, and Commissioner Gooch.
Correct. Commissioner Turner.
Commissioner Coggin, Commissioner Turner, Commissioner Gooch, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Allen, and Commissioner Black.
I have Commissioner Black, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Coggin, Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Gooch, Commissioner Allen, and Commissioner Turner.
Commissioner Allen. Well, our paper is not in the proper order, but. Okay. Commissioner Allen.
Commissioner Coggin, Commissioner Gooch, Commissioner Turner, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Jordan, Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Allen.
I have Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Jeff Jordan, Commissioner Coggin, Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Gooch, Commissioner Allen, and Commissioner Turner.
Correct. Now, Commissioner Stevens.
Commissioner Coggin, Commissioner Gooch, Commissioner Jordan, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Allen, Commissioner Turner, Commissioner McAdoo.
I have Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Jeff Jordan, Commissioner Coggin, Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Gooch, Commissioner Allen, and Commissioner Turner.
Commissioner Jeff Jordan.
Commissioner Black, Commissioner Sandlin, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Coggin, Commissioner Jordan, Commissioner Gooch.
I have Commissioner Black, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Sandlin, Commissioner Jordan, Commissioner Coggin, Commissioner McAdoo, and Commissioner Gooch.
Correct. Commissioner Baum.
Commissioner Jordan, Commissioner Coggin, Commissioner Allen, Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Turner,
Okay.
Commissioner Farley, and Commissioner Black.
I have Commissioner Black, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Jordan, Commissioner Coggan, Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Allen, Commissioner Turner.
Correct. Commissioner Coggan,
Commissioner Black, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Sandlin, Commissioner Jeff Jordan, Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Gooch, Commissioner Coggan.
I have Commissioner Black, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Sandlin, Commissioner Jordan, Commissioner Coggan, Commissioner McAdoo, and Commissioner Gooch.
Commissioner Young,
Commissioner Black, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Turner, Commissioner Jordan, Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Gooch, and Commissioner Coggan.
I have Commissioner Black, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Jordan, Commissioner Coggan, Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Gooch, and Commissioner Turner.
correct. Commissioner Phillips, and you have one more.
That's 7. I have Commissioner Black, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Jordan, Commissioner Coggan, Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Gooch, and Commissioner Allen.
Okay, correct. Commissioner McAdoo,
Commissioner who? Okay. Who was the last one? I'm sorry. Thank you. I have Commissioner Black, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Sandlin, Commissioner Jeff Jordan, Commissioner Coggan, Commissioner McAdoo, and Commissioner Gooch.
good. Commissioner Ely,
Commissioner Black, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Sandlin, Commissioner Jordan, Commissioner Coggan, Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Gooch.
I have Commissioner Black, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Sandlin, Commissioner Jordan, Commissioner Coggan, Commissioner McAdoo, and Commissioner Gooch.
correct. Now Commissioner Gooch,
Commissioner Black, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Sandlin, Commissioner Jordan, Commissioner Coggins, Commissioner McAdoo, and good old Gooch.
I have Commissioner Black, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Sandlin, Commissioner Jordan, Commissioner Coggan, Commissioner McAdoo, and Commissioner Gooch.
Correct. Now, Commissioner Sereno.
Commissioner Black, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Sandling, Commissioner Jeff Jordan, Commissioner Corrigan, Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Gooch.
I have Commissioner Black, Commissioner Farley, Commissioner Sandlin, Commissioner Jordan, Commissioner Coggin, Commissioner McAdoo, and Commissioner Gooch. Do you want him to read these?
Okay, here are the 7 candidates that have received the most votes. Commissioner Black, 18. Commissioner Farley, 21. Commissioner Sandlin, 14. Commissioner Jordan, 19. Commissioner Coggin, 21. Commissioner McAdoo, 21. And Commissioner Gooch, 20. And we all have the same number of count here, at least 5 of us. So without objection, that group of 7 will please be excused and go select your chairperson and your vice chairman and your time of meeting. And we're going to give you all of 5 minutes to make that happen, and we'll take a brief recess. Okay, we'd like to continue our agenda for tonight, and we have a report from the steering committee. The chairperson is Adam Coggin. Vice chairman is Trey Gooch. Their normal meeting time will continue on the first Monday of the month at 5:30 p.m. And due to the upcoming holiday, their next meeting, make note, is Thursday, August the 30th at 5:30. And all of you need to be reminded again, I think most of you already have done this, but turn in your committee request to Commissioner Coggin tonight. And if you haven't done that, please do that before you leave here tonight.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Sandlin.
we've announced that the chairman pro tem position will be elected next month, and I'll be running for that position. So I appreciate your vote, and I will be contacting you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, there's no unfinished business on the agenda that I'm aware of. We're ready for reports by the standing committees. There is a report from the purchasing committee, and we need a motion on those minutes of that meeting. All right, that was Commissioner Cook, and who else was that? The second of the motion, Commissioner Schaefer. Any questions or discussions on that? All in favor of that, please then say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion is carried. Now, Commissioner Ely, we're anxiously awaiting this Budget, Finance, and Investment Committee report.
Item L2A, General Fund Budget Amendments. Be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the General Fund be amended as follows. Risk Management, from unassigned fund balance $8,430 to Building and Contents Insurance $3,030 to add new fire departments and the Sheriff's Department reserve officers, and liability insurance $5,400. Register of Deeds, from restricted for general government deeds, $230,500. This is to archive county records. To data processing services, $66,000. Supplies, $4,500. And equipment, $160,000. Transfers out, from unassigned fund balance, $200,000. To transfer to other funds, $200,000. This is cash flow for E911 and Homeland Security, and this grant, of course, is reimbursable. The agency provides funding to the county after the expenditures have been made. From the Sheriff's Department and Jail, increased revenue, sale of equipment, $3,062. Increased expenditures for law enforcement supplies, $3,062. From unassigned fund balance, $6,100 to other contracted services, $6,100, and these are donations. From unassigned fund balance, $27,000 to in-service training, grant funds for dispatchers training. From unassigned fund balance, $11,014 for payroll corrections to the Sheriff's Department lieutenants, $7,420 and the related benefits, to the jail lieutenants, $1,730 and the related benefits. Resolved this 16th day of August 2012. Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
Commissioner Jeff Jordan, second. Any other questions on this? All right, please cast your votes.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the votes.
Yes, 2 abstain, motion passes.
Item L2B, Special Purpose Fund Budget Amendments. Be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the Special Purpose DEA Fund be amended as follows. Asset forfeiture funds from restricted for public safety, $589, to in-service training, $589. Sheriff's Department, from restricted for public safety, $10,000, to confidential enforcement, $10,000. Resolved this 16th day of August 2012. Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
Commissioner Sereno, a second. Any questions on this? Please cast your votes.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the votes.
20 yes, motion passes.
Item L2C, Drug Control Fund Budget Amendment. Be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the Drug Control Fund be amended as follows. Drug enforcement, increased revenues, contributions, and gifts, $2,625. Increased expenditures, animal food and supplies, $2,625. Resolved this 16th day of August 2012. I move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second, Commissioner Jordan. Any questions? Please cast your votes.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the votes.
20 yes, motion passes.
Item L2D, a Solid Waste Sanitation Fund Budget Amendment. Be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the Solid Waste Sanitation Fund be amended as follows. Convenience centers, sanitation, education, information, litter grant from the convenience centers, maintenance personnel, $300 and the related benefits, to sanitation, education, information, the litter grant, part-time personnel, $300 and related benefits. This, of course, is a payroll correction. Resolved this 16th day of August 2012. Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
Second from Commissioner P. Any discussion? Please cast your votes.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the votes.
20 yes, motion passes.
Item L2E, resolution authorizing public officials' bond for property assessor and highway superintendent. Be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the public officials' statutory bonds be approved for Mr. Robert E. Mitchell, assessor of property, in the amount of $10,000, and Mr. Gregory A. Brooks, road superintendent, in the amount of $100,000. Resolved this 16th day of August 2012. Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
Second from Commissioner Schaefer. Any discussion, questions? Commissioner Farley.
This may be a stupid question, but why is assessor of property $10,000 and a road superintendent $100,000?
Well, Ms. Nolan can answer that. I mean, I think these are requirements put on us by the state. Any other questions? All in favor of this, please say aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you.
Item L2F, and ladies and gentlemen, we did these last month, and we are doing them again tonight, and I will announce I will have to do these again or another resolution when the chairman of the school board is elected. So bear with me through this. Item L2F, a resolution authorizing facsimile signature for Rutherford County payroll account at SunTrust Bank. Whereas SunTrust Bank, Nashville, Tennessee, is the depository bank for the Rutherford County payroll account, and whereas the undersigned is the county mayor for Rutherford County, Tennessee, and whereas SunTrust Bank Nashville is authorized and directed to honor checks, drafts, or other orders for the payment of money drawn on the Rutherford County payroll account, bearing or purporting to bear the facsimile signature as follows: General Fund, Ernest G. Burgess, County Mayor; Lisa A. Nolan, Finance Director; Road and Bridge Fund, Gregory A. Brooks, Road Superintendent; Ernest G. Burgess, County Mayor; Lisa A. Nolan, Finance Director; General Purpose School Fund, Mark Burns, Chairman of the Board; Marvin D. Odom, Director of Schools; Lisa A. Nolan, Finance Director. Whereas SunTrust Bank Nashville shall be entitled to honor and to charge the account for such checks, drafts, or other orders, regardless of by whom or by what means the actual or purported facsimile signature thereon may have been affixed thereto, if such signature resembles the facsimile specimen duly certified to or filed with the SunTrust Bank, Nashville. Now therefore be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners of Rutherford County, Tennessee, that the county mayor and other appropriate officials of Rutherford County be and are hereby authorized to execute the corporate resolution and certificate of incumbency deposit accounts, a copy of the same being attached hereto as Exhibit 1 and incorporated herein by reference as if set forth herein at length verbatim, authorizing the facsimile signatures for the Rutherford County payroll account as listed in the foregoing resolution, effective September 1, 2012, resolved the 16th day of August, 2012. I move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second, Commissioner Cook. Any questions or discussions on that? All in favor of that, then please say aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Item L2G, a resolution authorizing the facsimile signature for Rutherford County trustee warrant account at First Tennessee Bank. Whereas First Tennessee Bank National Association is the depository bank for the Rutherford County trustee account, and whereas the undersigned is the county mayor for Rutherford County, Tennessee, and whereas First Tennessee Bank is authorized and directed to honor checks, drafts, or other orders for the payment of money drawn on the Rutherford County trustee account, bearing or purporting to bear the facsimile signatures as follows: General Fund, Ernest G. Burgess, County Mayor; Lisa A. Nolan, Finance Director. Road and Bridge Fund, Gregory A. Brooks, Road Superintendent; Ernest G. Burgess, County Mayor; Lisa A. Nolan, Finance Director. General Purpose School Fund, Mark Burns, Chairman of the Board; Marvin D. Odom, Director of Schools; Lisa A. Nolan, Finance Director. Whereas First Tennessee Bank National Association shall be entitled to honor and to charge the account for such checks, drafts, or other orders, regardless of by whom or by what means the actual or purported facsimile signature thereon may have been affixed thereto, if such signature resembles the facsimile specimen duly certified to or filed with First Tennessee Bank National Association. Now therefore be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners of Rutherford County, Tennessee, that the county mayor and other appropriate officials of Rutherford County be and are hereby authorized to execute the certified resolutions of lodge, association, or similar unincorporated organization deposit accounts and loans with First Tennessee Bank National Association, a copy of the same being attached hereto as Exhibit 1 and incorporated herein by reference as if set forth herein at length verbatim, authorizing the facsimile signatures for the Rutherford County trustee account as listed in the foregoing resolution, effective September 1, 2012. Resolved this 16th day of August, 2012. Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
Second, Commissioner Jordan. Any questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. There is not a report from the Health and Education Committee, nor one from the Property Management Committee. We do have one resolution from the Public Safety Committee. Commissioner Farley.
Whereas with the attached contract between Rutherford County Juvenile Detention Center and Grundy County for housing of juvenile offenders, a copy of said contract being attached hereto as Exhibit 1 and incorporated herein at length as is set forth verbatim, is in the best interest of the citizens of Rutherford County. Now therefore be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the appropriate officials for and on behalf of Rutherford County being are hereby authorized to enter into and execute for and on behalf of Rutherford County the contract with Grundy County for housing of juvenile offenders. Resolved this 16th day of August 2012, and I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Second, Commissioner Schaefer. Any questions on that? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That carried. Thank you. There is one resolution from Public Works and Planning. Commissioner Jernigan.
Resolution to approve a request to close the last 283 foot of Mongolos Lane that is maintained by the Rutherford County Highway Department. whereas the property owners and those controlling land touched by the last 283 feet of Margolis Lane pursuant to Tennessee Code annotated 54-10-1212 have requested the last 283 feet of said road be taken off the road book to be a private road and not the responsibility of Rutherford County for upkeep. And whereas said property owners and those controlling land touched by the last 283 feet of Margolis Lane have executed and submitted a waiver of damage. Now therefore be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the Rutherford County delete the last 283 feet of Margolis Lane from the Rutherford County Road Book, resolved this 16th day of August 2012. I so move.
Second from Turner. Thank you. Any questions or discussion? All in favor of that, then please say aye. Any opposed? That motion is carried. Now we're ready for 3 resolutions from the Steering Legislative and Governmental Committee. Commissioner Coggin.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, we do have 3 items this evening. The first one is to approve a resolution to approve eliminating the issuance of a wheel tax decal. Commissioners, this is kind of a housekeeping thing. We did this a little while back. Now that this has passed through the state, we just need to make it, I guess, more official. Also to the steering committee members, this resolution that you have before you is not the exact same one that we voted on in committee. The content has not changed. Just it's just been rewritten to fall in line more with the statute, just for your information. Resolution abolishing the wheel tax decal in Rutherford County. Whereas the Private Act of 1970, Chapter 329, as amended, enacted a wheel or privilege tax upon motor-driven vehicles in Rutherford County. And whereas the Private Act provides that payment of the wheel tax imposed thereunder was to be evidenced by a receipt which shall be kept by the owner of the motor-driven vehicle and by a decal or emblem affixed to the motor-driven vehicle. And whereas the Tennessee General Assembly has recently enacted Public Chapter 908 to amend Tennessee Code annotated 55-4-103 A2 to provide that the display of a wheel or road tax decal or emblem is no longer required under the general state law if the county does not require the same. And whereas it is estimated that it will save approximately $13,000 to no longer require the use of the wheel tax sticker as evidence of payment of the wheel tax itself. And whereas the vehicle registration form issued for each vehicle at the time of the annual registration renewal has a notation indicating whether the wheel tax has been paid and can constitute proof of payment of the wheel tax. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners. 1, the County Commission approves and resolves that while Rutherford County wheel tax established by a private act of 1970, Chapter 329, as amended, will continue to be in effect and continue to be collected, the wheel tax decal will no longer be issued at the time of the collection of fees for the wheel tax at the office of the county clerk. Operators of motor vehicles registered in Rutherford County, Tennessee shall no longer be required to have a wheel tax decal on the vehicle or registration plate. 2, operators of motor-driven vehicles registered in Rutherford County, Tennessee will continue to be required to pay the wheel tax as provided in the Private Act of 1970, Chapter 379, as amended with the exception that no wheel tax decal or emblem shall be required. 3, operators of motor-driven vehicles subject to the wheel tax shall be required to keep the vehicle registration indicating that the wheel tax has been paid within the motor vehicle being operated. 4, it shall continue to be a misdemeanor for any person to which the wheel tax is applicable to not pay the wheel tax as provided in the Private Act of 1970, Chapter 329, as amended. Resolved the 16th day of August, 2012. Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
Second from Commissioner Sandlin and Jernigan. Any discussion or questions? Then all of you in favor of that, then please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is carried.
Thank you. Next, we have a resolution to exempt the Cultural Arts Center from property taxes effective June 26, 2008. Whereas Tennessee Code annotated Section 67-5-223 authorizes the county legislative body by resolution to approve a property tax exemption for certain nonprofit community and performing arts organizations. And whereas such a resolution was previously adopted by Rutherford County effective July 1st, 2011. Now therefore be it resolved by the Rutherford County Legislative Body meeting in regular session at Murfreesboro, Tennessee on the 16th day of August 2012 that the prior resolution adopted June 16th, 2011 approving the property tax exemption authorized by TCA 67-5-223 for nonprofit community and performing arts organizations is hereby amended to change the effective date to June 26, 2008. Said prior resolution is hereby otherwise ratified and confirmed. Resolved this 16th day of August 2012. Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
Second from Commissioner Turner. Any questions? Commissioner Phillips.
Commissioner Coggin, I'm assuming they are subject to city taxes through Murfreesboro. Are they exempt? Does the city exempt them as well?
I do not know that.
Our county attorney says yes, he believes so.
Question.
All right, any other questions? All of you in favor of that then, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carried unanimously.
Next, we have a resolution commending the Rutherford County Beer Board and Town of Smyrna on their stand against the sale of illegal synthetic drugs and to further encourage the cities of Murfreesboro and Laverne, when appropriate, to continue with a strong stand and present a united front against the sale of such illegal synthetic drugs. Whereas the Rutherford County Beer Board and Town of Smyrna have taken a strong stand against the sale of illegal synthetic drugs. Now therefore be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners to commend the Rutherford County Beer Board and Town of Smyrna on their stand against the sale of illegal synthetic drugs and further encourage the cities of Murfreesboro and Laverne, when appropriate, to continue with a strong stand and present a united front against the sale of such illegal synthetic drugs. Be it further resolved, the county clerk is directed to send a copy of this resolution to the Rutherford County Beer Board and the appropriate officials of the town of Smyrna and the cities of Murfreesboro and Laverne. Resolved the 16th day of August, 2012. Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
Second, Commissioner Jordan and Black and others. Any other discussion or questions? All in favor of that then, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is carried. Is there any other business that you want to bring before this body? Commissioner Jordan.
I'd just like to remind and invite everybody to come to Middle Tennessee Electric's annual meeting, which is this Saturday morning at Embassy Suites. You can get a little something to eat. You can watch a beauty pageant, including Commissioner P's niece, who was one of the contestants. Have a health fair and have a chance to win some pretty good door prizes. It starts around 8 o'clock, wraps up right around 11:30, I believe. But this Saturday, the 18th, at Embassy Suites. That's if you're a member of Middle Tennessee Electric.
Any of us are. Thank you. Anyone else have any business? Commissioner P.
Excuse me, we also have a country ham breakfast at Kittrell. So the thing to do is get up early. We start at 6 and go to 10, so you can go over there and get your breakfast and head over to the Middle Tennessee Electric pageant meeting.
Right. Thank you very much. Breakfast and brunch. Any other business? Commissioner Phillips.
I'd like to make one really quick announcement. Commissioner Sandlin got up a minute ago and said that he was running for pro tem. A couple of months ago, I asked for your support with the understanding that Commissioner Sandlin was not running. But now that he is, and those of you that have committed to me, you're free to make the choice that you feel like that you need to. I would still like to run, but I'm not holding you to that, not even attempting to hold you to that commitment now that Commissioner Sandlin has changed his mind and is going to run.
Anybody else have any business or any announcements? If not, this meeting is adjourned, and thank you very, very much.